OTB AM.
With Gillette. Get into your flow with the new Gillette Labs Razor with exfoliating bar.
Good morning and welcome to Friday's OTB AM. Adrian here and Eoin over there.
What's the crack?
Good morning, Eoin.
Good morning.
I feel sad.
Why?
Uttering those words. Because unless we get somebody else called on to replace you, that's the last time I've been saying that for quite some time.
You wouldn't know. You could easily. There's tons of Owens.
It'll never be the same. We're desperately sad. You've another couple of days to go, and I know you're playing everything down, and you're also desperately hungover. So
I'm not desperately hungover.
I said to you last night, listen, I'm on the dry here, so feel free. Plan A is obviously you're in for the start of the show.
Yeah.
Plan B, we'll see you at some point during the show. Plan C, you better be here for the crappy quiz.
It was good psychology because I took that as a personal insult.
Did you really?
That you would even suggest that we would have to revert to Plan B or Plan C. So I was like, no, screw you. And as soon as you left, I got in a taxi myself and I was like, I'm getting out of here.
You didn't.
Up early in the morning.
Definitely not as soon as I left. I'm just on the bottles, you said. It's grand, I'm only on the bottles.
Yeah, and
I'm going to have about 40.
Look at me now. He's laughing now.
To be fair, you're remarkably fresh for a man who was out until 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I wish.
We were going away drinks last night. Well, very well hosted by Howe in the Boar's Head.
Yes. No better place. It wasn't even a consideration as to where we would go.
I hadn't appreciated that you are up there on the wall with Shane Lowry and Pádraig Carrington and the Dublin footballers and the Kerry footballers as a friend of the Boar's Head.
I'm not, but hopefully one day. That's the ambition. That's the Irish societal version of the Hollywood star, really, isn't it? Do you have your picture up on the wall of the Boar's Head? So hopefully one day. Still no 2022 Kerry All Ireland pictures up on the wall just yet. I'm sure they're being printed and framed. Somebody's etching out a lovely, expensive frame for them. So hopefully when I come back, they'll be up because they deserve to be plastered everywhere over that wall.
And if they're not, that's a nice gentle reminder as well. And I'm sure everybody's aware at this point, but no one's leaving us next week. You've a couple of more days to go. I'm always sort of likely to encourage people to send in their, Owen's best bits or just general wishes. I know how you love that stuff. General wishes of good luck.
See, the thing is, like, at least with Ger, he would get tired of doing this. But then there's like a new presenter that comes in and there's like a
bit of freshness to it.
Fresh impetus to it's obviously that worked on a week to week sense because we've got a fresh hot take on Manchester United coming very soon, everyone. By the way, this morning, which is good for the listener. But then there is obviously the very tiresome nature of it all, where a very tiresome subject is now going to become even hammered into the ground more by Adrian with whatever.
That's regular Friday crack. I did say to you last night that I have never known anybody in my the entirety of my life we're not great at taking compliments anyway, right? I don't know, is that a uniquely Irish thing or is it just a human trait that we're not amazing at, like, well done on that thing? But I've never known anybody to be like, yeah, okay, grand, let's just get past that thing and move on to some sort of situation where I can flagellate myself.
I'm just a very awkward person, I think.
Well, I wouldn't agree with that in the slightest.
I don't think I'm comfortable in any situation.
Just before we leave last night, was there a moment where you were looking around the room going, how have I come to this in life?
How do you mean?
The amalgam of groups that were there.
Tell everybody at home who
so
was
there. Was it an off the ball? It was kind of an off the ball-ish going away.
So what happened was that what happened? There was supposed to be a surprise for me last night, which was completely botched.
Right.
So what was due to happen was I was due to meet people from the Kerry Mafia on Wednesday as a good luck, and then work last night. And then I think Ger and one of the members of the Kerry Mafia went into concert.
Barry Lennon.
Exactly. And tried to organise, to try and join them together and do it on a surprise level.
Yeah.
And what they obviously should have done was that everybody from work should have shown up on the Wednesday night to the Kerry Mafia drinks, and that would have worked. However, they weren't very smart about it, so they said, how about let's bring the Kerry Mafia to the off-the-ball drinks on the Thursday. The problem was I was booked in to do something on the Wednesday with the Kerry Mafia, so they then had to say, well, would Thursday suit you instead of Wednesday? And I was like, no, well, I've got work drinks.
Okay.
He was like, well, I'm just going to have to fess up here. This is what we're planning to do. So
yeah, because I do think I know what you're saying and appreciate the point you're making, but like I do think your work colleagues turning up to your bash with your mates, you'd have been like, oh hey, this is a great surprise. I just wanted to spend one last night with my mates, but I mean, thanks to all these assholes that I have to put up with for turning up. Thanks a million.
Again, to earlier point, there would be no situation in which I wouldn't be uncomfortable. So perfect.
You were looking around the room. Your off-the-ball colleagues were here. The Kerry Mafia were here. It was an interesting sort of dynamic watching everybody sort of mingle last night.
Oh yeah.
You're there. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Right.
And then over here, this other group of people just wandered in.
Yeah.
To celebrate your You're leaving of Off the Ball.
Yeah. the RT autumn winter launch was obviously yesterday, and then there was a
that's not what happened.
A few people obviously were congregating in
Shane
the same
Dowling came in to wish you the best of luck. Johnny Smacks from the two Johnnies came in to say, listen, you've been an absolute delight to listen to and watch and engage with over the last few years. We're going to miss you. And Shay Given turned up.
Yeah.
Like one of the greatest Irish sports people of all time.
Oh, he is, yeah.
Just rocks in. Owen, couldn't let you away. I've flown over from England specifically, couldn't let you away without saying, listen, well done. Really enjoy your football analysis.
Yeah. Yeah,
good luck.
That's
incredible.
Incredible, exactly. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. So it was. It was
absolutely brilliant.
It was. No, it was. To be fair, it was very sounded him to pop in.
Yeah.
They definitely weren't there for another reason, and you didn't strong arm them into coming upstairs, but. You take what you get in a moment like this.
Fair play to you. You haven't George Bushed it yet, in the sense of putting the feet up and just sort of taking it easy with the finish line in sight, and just you're at least you're turning up. You're here, and we'll see what happens over the next few hours. But you're here. So Wednesday departure, is that just before we leave that topic?
Yeah, Wednesday departure.
And
the gap.
I was thinking, have you seen that Beckham documentary? 2014, he retires from football, and himself and his mates pack their bags and they go off to Brazil.
Oh yeah,
and they do a bit of a tour and they film the whole thing, and it's a celebration at the end of his career as a footballer, and the anonymity of travelling around Brazil. Nobody's going to know who I am.
Yeah,
and obviously David Beckham turns up in Brazil, and everyone's like, "Oh hey, David Beckham!" And he's like, "Oh crap, all right, there's no anonymity to be had here." I presume it'll be a similar buzz for yourself, that there'll be plenty of recognition. And
yeah, absolutely. That's the whole thing. That's probably just going to be the biggest challenge, is how I deal with the unparalleled fame that I've obviously.
I'm not just that guy.
Exactly, trying to separate the art from the artist is probably going to be the biggest challenge for me over these next few years.
You are full of shit, and we are going to miss that big time. So anyway, look, we've loads to get to. Another obviously big surprise to you would be that we've a couple of people that have sent in. They wanted to get in touch with us to say, listen, much the same tone of stuff that we've been talking about before. We've a few people lined up that have dropped in videos for us, and wanted to give you their best, essentially. I think we can take one of those now. We've David Brady standing. We've Alan Quinlan standing by. Quinny, what have you got for us?
Hi Eoin, Quinny here. Just a quick message to wish you the best of luck on your travels. You're finishing up pretty soon, I believe, and from Off the Ball. It was a great pleasure to play a small part in your trajectory in your career in the last number of years. You were top class in everything you did. So it's very exciting that you're heading off to South America and your travels and moving around a bit. Something I wish I did when I was younger myself, but obviously I could never do that because it was continuous year after year with the rugby. I was hoping to do it when I retired, but again, wasn't able to. But it's a great opportunity for you, so I'm sure you'll enjoy it, embrace it, and meet new people and see new parts of the world. But again, I genuinely mean it. It was a pleasure to be on Off the Ball with you. You always made it easy to chat to, and you were top class at your job. So I wish you the very, very best. Hopefully you will be back and we'll be chatting again in the not too distant future. I'm sure you'll do a few reports from South America anyway when you get there, back to studio. So listen, the very, very best of luck, and take care, have fun, enjoy every moment of it, and catch you soon. See you, buddy.
What a legend.
You're lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, that's class. Thanks, Quinny. Absolute gent to work with, obviously. I don't think anybody at home would be surprised to hear that.
It's lovely stuff.
Yeah,
I just love these.
I'm sure you do.
You're and Emma, fair play to her. She's got you on screen there as well as they're playing. It's what we need. Big surprise now. David Brady, I think, is going to drop in and give us his own farewell.
Try not to cry. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Owen, DB here. How's things, buddy? I hope you're keeping well. Devastated to hear the news you're leaving OTB Towers. It's been an absolute pleasure and honour to work with you, listen to you, and get to know you, more importantly, over the last few years. the very best wish for a safe journey over the next 12 months. You've been on some journey over the last couple of years, and this no doubt will be another one. But look forward to seeing you back and off the ball in the next 12 to 24 months. Take care of yourself, buddy, and carry a boo. Thought I'd never say it.
Again, another fella that's just been absolutely brilliant to deal with down through the years. Like when I put together that Mayo Meat documentary on the 96 brawl, DB was just an unbelievable help in all of that. Just like so, just brilliantly eager to help out in any way possible when you needed him, and not necessarily even just on the on-air side of things. Not necessarily just to do the interview, which is brilliant in itself, but essentially co-producing it in a way, like putting me in touch with certain people and helping me out logistically. So yeah, the two boys, David and Alan, absolute lovely people to work with.
In classic Sheehan fashion, of course, you're deflecting from the point at hand here. You'll be missed, Owen, says Rick Jagger, is misspelling your name. No more morning eye candy.
I mean, that is the big thing, right?
Shout,
yeah, like I mean, that's the first time that's been mentioned over the last week, so I'm surprised we've had to wait this long.
It's another box.
But just don't just judge me on my body, you know.
No, exactly.
I've got a good personality as well.
I don't think they were talking about your body. I think it was just your looks. That's lovely. Fair play, lads. Best of luck, Owen, says Michael. And yeah,
thank you very much.
There'll be more of that, hopefully.
Yep.
Good, yeah, that's great.
Good 11 minutes.
Yeah, good.
Dedicated to that.
So you'd mentioned that we were going to pick over the Liverpool United game. Is that's part of the plan here?
Yes, absolutely. Well, like, I mean, this is what we do. We arrive on a Friday, and
normally there's stuff going on, though. To be fair, isn't there?
There is,
like,
well, kind of
something like, even if we come in with, like, we might have the previous day said, we might talk about that thing. We might talk. There's not very much going on at the minute. Like, to be fair,
it is a quite enough period in a traditional sense. Like, I mean, there's obviously like new storylines that we wouldn't be overly familiar with in August, like some big club GA storylines. We wouldn't be well used to the Ireland women's rugby team having a series going on in August. So I guess maybe assuming the GA calendar stays the way it is, we'll probably just get used to a new August and a new September over the next few years. Obviously, the Premier League is all conquering.
And League of Ireland clubs in Europe, and of course, Shamrock Rovers' a big win last night.
That's nothing new, thankfully, over the last few years.
No, it isn't. To be fair,
July and August have been kind of full of that sort of stuff. So we had obviously the Champions League draw yesterday, Europa League, and then for the Irish angle, then the Conference League yet to come. So that's going to be something to follow over the next little while as well. I
think part of the difficulty with the follow to the Liverpool United thing is that, like, we just tend to get so carried away into the extremes of recency bias. So everybody leaves the game last weekend and it's like, Liverpool are absolutely screwed. They're so leggy in midfield. People have figured out how to play against them. Trent Alexander-Arnold can't defend anymore. Like, I don't know how much new necessarily we learned about Liverpool last week. They might be a team that others have begun to figure out and maybe not figure out so much, because, to be fair, it wasn't a great surprise as to how Liverpool played over the last couple of years, but that maybe they're now in a better position to get the better of them. But how much we read into what happened last weekend, last Monday night, will be nobody can tell that at the minute. That's the thing. And, like, is it from the United side, is it a flash in the pan? Like, Ten Hag comes out and he's like baring his chest after the game, and it's like he's dishing out loads of language and there's a great excitement about it. And, like, by the way, like, whatever awards are going in the TV industry, just fling them all at last Monday night's Sky show. What an unbelievable production, start to finish. I
you enjoyed it?
Remember being so entertained. It was
really
brilliant. You just, like, I don't know, certainly in my house, like, it's on in the background and you're sort of coming and going. If something's happening, you're sort of standing and maybe you might have a bit of a watch, see what's going on. But I was glued to it, like, start to finish, up to whatever it was, 11 o'clock. Absolutely brilliant production. Obviously, a lot of it was centred around our boy, Roy.
Yeah.
But no, just
centre it around worse people.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I just thought on the game itself, like, Eric Ten Hag is this genius who's discovered, like, and by the way, like, it was, let's give Ralph Rangnick his credit and all of this as well. Like, if the auditor hadn't have been in the dugout last year for an entire season, sat front and centre, he never would have known that dropping Maguire and Ronaldo was the way to fix all this stuff. How could he have possibly known these things?
I suspect you still have your bee in your bonnet about Ralph Rangnick.
We should never forget. I mean, it doesn't come up. I didn't hear any of the people that you were speaking to outside the ground last night using it as, like, what would be one of the most obvious giant sticks to beat the club with, like a a bad business decision in my view.
To be fair, you go back a week and I think Rangnick's stock was actually higher than it was at the start of the season, because some reports had come out obviously in the off-season that Erik ten Hag had the opportunity to meet Rangnick and I guess take on board his learnings and his auditing, as you put it, and he declined that opportunity in the off-season. So there was a take out there that given their poor start to the season that maybe ten Hag could have at least given Rangnick the time of day, and I guess
he was right.
Been forewarned.
He was. Look, sorry, I don't know. Was he right? We'll see in the grand sort of scope of time. But I don't know what Ralph Rangnick could have said to Erik ten Hag that like he wouldn't have known before he ever arrived at the club. But that wasn't.
Could be no harm to have the chat. But like
but also that wasn't like, this isn't a brand new thing. Yeah. Like in the middle of last year, I was making this point. What the hell is this guy doing at the sideline? Like the biggest case for him was always, look, we don't want to go down that track, but it was just, I don't know. I found the whole thing infuriating. But I suppose the point about that is that, was it a kick because they were playing Liverpool? Was it a kick because like Fernandes has suddenly got the armband and he's like, I got to go out and I got to show this thing. And Ronaldo isn't on the team and Maguire isn't there. Like just looking at him brings down the whole tone of an atmosphere. He's always got that sort of hangdog. You know, I've just been caught with my hand at the jar job. So, like, is that all stuff that just happens now for that game last Monday night? And then, you know, they managed to get themselves up for that, or they managed to get themselves up to play that style of that Liverpool team, which just doesn't happen when they're playing a Southampton or a Brentford.
Well, it's a combination of all those things. So, Harry Maguire doesn't play this weekend. That defence looks better. Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't play this weekend. Bruno Fernandes looks better. But the fact is they're not playing Liverpool at Old Trafford this weekend. They're away to Southampton. So therefore you'd expect that feral intensity that they brought to proceedings on Monday, that won't be there. You'd expect that it will still be an intense performance if Ten Hag is really working his magic, but you can't get up for Southampton away as much as you can Liverpool at home, I'd suspect anyway. Maybe you can, but it might just be a little bit off it. That's not to say that they won't be up for the game tomorrow or that they won't win comfortably in the end. But I think it was just a combination of all those things, and I think that it was a perfect fixture for them in many ways on Monday when you look back at it. And I'm not necessarily talking about Liverpool in that, I'm talking about the occasion that they come away from Brentford and Ten Hag knows he can run the legs off them the day after because he's got another 8 days after that.
And himself.
And himself.
Yeah.
He's got another 8 days to recover from that. He's got a lot of time, and it's almost like a date in the diary. It's almost like a new pre-season where it's like, this is the date. It's coming up 9 days away. It's a week and a half away. It's a long time to build up for any game in professional football. And I think that whole that whole mindset, I'd say, played into a really positive performance from them on Monday. So I think there's a load of things you can take from Monday and say they are probably going to be sustainable factors throughout the season, which will lead to good moments for Manchester United. But I do think Liverpool, not so much the team, but I think the fixture, the occasion, I think that came at a good time for them. It was a great opportunity for him to make a point in that squad by making 2 or 3 big decisions, especially with Ronaldo and Maguire, and it paid off handsomely for him.
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. That would be the thing that I'm concluding from Monday night. I don't know.
That's fair enough. Like
I know that's not a, you know.
We'll know a lot more at 5 o'clock tomorrow on both of these teams when it comes to Liverpool as well. So, like, obviously with United away to Southampton, they've got a very good, their specific record against Southampton, I'm not so sure, but they've obviously put up big scores in the not too distant past against them, obviously. And then Liverpool are at home with the Bournemouth. Like, that for me is if Liverpool come away from that game not getting 3 points, then I think that's when we can start turning it from I don't know into, okay, what's going on right now at Liverpool. Now I think Monday was probably the most alarming result, or probably the most alarming performance of the 3. I thought that, you know, you can be forgiven for the opening day performance, I think, because it's the opening day a little bit. They were good against Crystal Palace and then they were just bad on Monday against a team that weren't in great form themselves. So tomorrow's going to tell a lot. I think we're probably closer to a conclusion on Liverpool than we are about Man United.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. A few comments coming in. Dennis and Connor says, good luck, Owen, enjoyed the travel. Expect we'll see the Kerry jersey at the Maracana in the north in the not so distant future.
I'm not going to bring it, unfortunately. Like, Adrian Barry has obviously shamed people who wear Kerry jerseys at sporting events. He absolutely hates the fellas who wear the Kerry jersey at the Masters, don't you?
What? How do I respond to that? Don't you? I don't absolutely hate them. I do eye roll when I see them coming on. Yeah. But to be fair, there hasn't been one. I haven't seen one yet at the Maracana, and so, you know, it's a bit cliched to do it. If you turn up at a golf event, that would be a bit cliche. But then there's also something a bit counterculture by the whole thing, isn't there? So it might just be, you know, a bit rebellious.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm not bringing it.
Best of luck, Owen, says Brian Slattery. Owen says, somebody who's on YouTube, you're an absolute gent. Too modest for your own good, man. Wisdom beyond your years.
I'm not sure about the second part of that.
Or, yeah?
Or the first part.
Owen is very insightful. We'll miss him up against Ger, says Tennis Tank. Heard Owen's moving to AFTV. Good move for the lad.
Yeah.
All the best, Owen.
Yeah, that experience at the North London Derby earlier in the year would probably make AFTV one of the jobs I'd least like to do, to be honest.
Lorcan Ryan says, Owen, safe travels and enjoy every minute. Yourself and the lads kept me in touch with home during a few years in Australia and 6 months in South America. Have a blast. Argentina is the best of all.
Nice.
The France of South America.
Who said that? You?
That's what they say.
Oh, that's what they say. So good wine and
very
cheese.
European feel about it. There's good wine.
Yeah.
And steak. Oh,
yeah.
Good steak, yeah.
Are you saying that just because it's like Argentina, or is it actually better than Irish steak?
I'm sure there's something to do with the whole holiday experience.
Yeah,
Jojo
exactly.
outside and knows about these things is nodding at me. He's like, yeah, you're right there. No, it's good. It's very good
Jojo's
steak.
going to be very careful here. Yeah, it's very good. Better than Irish? He doesn't know. He doesn't know about that. Yeah. So I think there's a bit of a we're a broad sort of a bias towards cuisine like that.
We'll get in all these reviews, I'm sure, over the next 12 to 24 months, as DB said. I don't know if he's let some sort of a cat out of some sort of a bag there, but he's extending your.
I do not have. If somebody wants to pay me to go on holidays for 24 months, I will happily accept any donations.
Keep your comments coming in, by the way. It'll make Owen cringe and thus make me happy. So keep them coming in. Very genuine comments coming in this morning. Keep them flooding in, whatever comments platform it is you're watching us. It's coming up on 10 to 8, and you're watching OTB AM. Lots to come on the show this morning, brought to you live each morning, of course, by Gillette Labs for an effortless finish to your day. We've Eric Donovan standing by. He's going to be on with us in a couple of moments' time, and he's going to chat to us about all things boxing. He's got a European belt to fight for in Belfast next month, so he'll talk to us about that in just a little bit. Martin Lipton is also going to talk to us about some of those topics, obviously, we've been chatting about as well. The football reaction to the Champions League draw, which he was at yesterday. Dele Alli obviously landing in at Istanbul as well over the last 24 hours. Get his thoughts on that, as well as looking ahead to the football over the weekend. Tell you what's happening across the back pages very shortly as well. We'll have Zack Carpenter, who's writer on all things Nebraska, ahead of the Aer Lingus College Football Classic at the Aviva tomorrow. It's right upon us, so we'll get Zack's. If you're going to the game, if you have any interest at all, Zack and Mark card as to exactly what it is you should be watching out for. That's coming up at 10 to 9 this morning. The thing that I'm most looking forward to is at 10 past 9 this morning, we're going to have a full studio for the first time that I can remember in the last 3 years. 4 contestants, if they're all not desperately hungover.
4 contestants?
3 contestants. If they're not all desperately hungover and can't make it. But we'll have Owen. Yes, Owen is going to partake.
Yeah.
Against Ger. Against Shane Hannon.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about that?
You've lined up the big dogs.
Yeah. How are you feeling about it?
Not particularly enthused about it. There's no way you can possibly turn this out to be a good thing. I'm obviously going to get screwed over here, and I'm accepting that the screw job is already in.
We clip that there and just and get that out as soon as we can. Eamon Dunn, who says 6 years in Canada, many a boring morning with Canadians. I mean, that seems like a fairly bizarre point of comment there, Emma, but good morning to you anyway. You lads got me through. Get him to do Japan style updates from South America to keep us happy.
Yeah, I might have to do something like that to keep myself happy.
We need an AJ-esque farewell speech on, says Wayne Graham. Grab the mic and start walking around the studio.
Yeah, that's
throwing Andy Lee's belt on the ground.
You'll have to see how the crappy quiz goes later on. That's the outcome will inform whether or not that happens.
Zed Lepland says we'll miss Owen, but Brawley or Loughnane would soften the blow.
Yeah, I agree.
A like for like there, I think.
You'd have a new listener there.
Who's that?
Me.
Well, you're not going to listen otherwise.
If you get Loughnane or Brawley, I'll definitely tune in. Yeah.
And best of luck, Owen, says Brian Thomas as well. So as I said, do keep your comments coming into us here. You've been we mentioned the celebrity circuit that you were on last night.
Yeah.
You've been catching up with a couple of other celebrities.
This is the big one now. We're going to bring you. You previewed the show there. You buried the lead completely there.
I know. I'm sorry about that.
I was in conversation last week with Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds.
Oh.
By in conversation, I mean signed up to a Zoom junket where I got to ask one question.
A Zoom junket, right?
Yeah. So rubbing shoulders with Hollywood A-listers. There's a new documentary on Disney called Welcome to Wrexham, which follows the lads and their stake in Wrexham Football Club.
It's de rigueur now, isn't it? It's a thing to do. make a
documentary.
behind-the-scenes documentary about your football club.
What I did find interesting is that the documentary was being made like from the very outset. Like they were having Zoom calls with the stakeholders of the club, the people who run the club, the fans. And in one of the Zoom calls, like you can actually see a camera over the shoulder of one of the lads. So like from the very start, they were like, well, we're making a fly in the wall documentary. Oh, really, look at that. This is all being documented. This very off-the-cuff thing that we're doing. Like I do think the story is remarkable. Like it's really interesting. And I mean, I enjoyed the few episodes that I did get the opportunity to see. I'm still not fully sure on the why. And you know what's the true
just
motive
a bit
behind
bored and like
that could just be
this
it.
thing over here looks class.
That could just be it.
Those fans are mental. Like in that thing, I'm sure there was. I mean, I don't know. Was there an attachment to Wrexham? Was it just
no?
This is a club that's available. We can get it at a price that we can afford. We can maybe build it up. Maybe.
But that's the ambition, yeah. I think like that's what they say. Sorry, like I mean, they obviously give reasons, but it doesn't ever feel as if we've got the full reason, or maybe they don't even know themselves. I think it could be like a COVID reaction to boredom, or kind of like an off the cuff sort of life decision from the two of them. Like what I'm really interested in is that like they seem very conscientious about the fact that they've taken something like a football club and have a huge stake in it, because they realise the importance of the club to all the fans, the importance to the town, and they realise that there are very real human beings involved and very real ups and downs in human beings' lives that can be attached to a football club, and the sensitivities that are required around that. They seem uber cautious around that, to be fair to them. So I'm not saying that they're coming in and are like lackadaisical about it or just throwing money at it for the crack. And it's the fact that they seem so conscientious about it. They're very aware of how owners are viewed and not in a positive light. That for me makes me question. So what is the real reason here? Like what are they really trying to get out of it? And maybe as the season goes on, when the episodes kind of develop a bit more, maybe we'll get an answer to that.
Because I'm sure, like they're obviously very wealthy, but I would never have thought they were like own a football club wealthy.
Their own a non-league football club wealthy, and their ambition, they say, is why. Like they're talking about shooting for the stars. They're talking about promotion. Why not shoot for the Premier League? Like the higher you go, I'm sure they would personally probably get rich if they became a Premier League club. But I wouldn't say they'd be able to earn enough money to be able to compete with some of the top Premier League clubs. And on that front, it would be a whole other level of investment that's required. Now, to be fair, at the very first episode, Rob McElhenney says, you know, I'm television rich. But I'm not Hollywood rich, and that's how they bring in Ryan Reynolds, and it cuts to like Deadpool and all that. To be fair, it's quite funny, as you would expect it would be, and the lads are quite interesting. But like the Wrexham people are arguably even more interesting, and I'm really interested in sort of the insights we're getting into this town as much as anything else. I think sometimes, obviously, there's such a level of exposure around Hollywood A-listers that you sometimes feel that you're not going to get much more out of them. Like the first couple of episodes, you see McElhenney watching games in lockdown from like his mansion in Hollywood, and maybe not Hollywood, somewhere in the States anyway. And there's like maybe a limited level of intrigue about that. Whereas when it comes to Wrexham, I'm actually learning about the town and learning new things about it in a way that I'm not learning about Rob McElhenney, because he's just watching a game in his very expensive house.
They also make great TikTok content about Wrexham. So they do like
I haven't seen this.
Little match reports. So like post game, they'll go, "Oh, hey, Wrexham were playing, I don't know, Rotherham at the weekend," and they'll take you through exactly what happened, and they'll be like, "Oh, Wrexham went 1-0 up. There's no way we couldn't win this game from here." And then Rotherham will go ahead and score 2 goals, and like it's very funny. It's very Olive Sunny type content almost.
I do like it as well that this doc is very much made for the American market. So like in the second episode, there's a situation where a fella gets a second yellow card and they're explaining to people at home what that means.
All those documentaries.
It's totally fair.
Anyway, after all of that, you and 3,999 other lucky journalists got on a call with them during the week, and you all got an in-depth opportunity
to pick the brains, with some good.
Go on, tease it up to us.
I mean, just me casually, having a real in-depth conversation with the lads, and have a look. Hi guys. As we saw in the first episode, we got a good reminder that Philadelphia sports fans are absolutely crazy. When it comes to comparisons between American sports fans, I'm keen on both of your perspective on this. When it comes to the differences between American sports fans and British football fans, what's been the main difference when it comes to their madness in the stands?
Wow. Man, I see a lot more similarities than differences. And I think that was a huge part of the endeavor in the first place, is that I was not a huge football fan. When I say football in this circumstance, I mean soccer. But I'm a huge American football fan. And I saw so much similarity, not necessarily in the sports, but in the fandom. So I don't know that there are a ton of differences. There's just a lot of passion and love, specifically in the working class communities where people are spending all week, grinding themselves to earn the money to come to a game, and games that are getting increasingly more expensive. So I see a lot more similarities than differences, honestly.
Well, that was definitely worth your Wednesday.
Yeah, it was
Wasn't it?
good 8-hour day put in.
Hi, guys.
To get that.
Oh, that was good. That was very good.
They obviously saw right through my cunning plan.
Wow. He said when you asked him the question. Geez, you put a lot of work into that.
Yeah, obviously moulding that question all day long.
The word wow belied everything that happened for the previous 30 seconds where he was staring at the ground literally going, what bullshit is this? What fresh bullshit is this?
But I was just going to say, they did see through my cunning plan where, you get given one question and I was like, I've got a loophole here. A question for you both.
Hi,
and
guys.
then Ryan Reynolds didn't answer the question.
Yeah, no, I'd say they have that well rehearsed. Whenever that comes up, you just take it. And
I've got a lot to learn.
Life.
Yeah, so that was your career highlight right there.
That was good stuff.
Yeah,
it was good
yeah,
stuff.
really
You'll keep in contact. I presume you'll be.
Yeah,
when you
good
get out
insights delivered there now this morning for people. You wouldn't get that anywhere else.
What's most concerning you about your as the goodwill comments, by the way, keep flooding in this morning. Best of luck, Owen, says Philip Nolan. Good luck, Owen. Alan O'Neill. Edward Freeman says best of luck in your travels. A Nashville style update from each country would be great. And would you would make a fortune in royalties from the tours boards that would pay for your trip?
Yeah, I'd be all ears to any opportunities there for sure. Maybe, there'll probably be a few Nashville opportunities, all right.
Rob, you're going to Nashville?
I am not.
Are you? No, you're not.
No, I'm not.
No.
I won't be. I will be going to the States first for a while and trying to get out of there without spending all my money.
Best of luck with the travel zone. If possible, add a Baca game to the list. Went a few years back and it was one of the highlights of my South America trip.
100%. Yeah, that's definitely on the list. Now, to say I haven't got much planned is an understatement. I've been forced into winging it a little bit. It's been a busy little while.
Don't worry about that. John O'Leary says what we'll miss most when Owen goes is his interviewing GEA stars, and then about an hour after the interview drops, that player announces his retirement.
Yeah, that was another particular highlight. Good old Joe.
Hurling club in Argentina is a great place to visit for any red-haired Irish man, says Michael.
Yeah, sign me up.
I don't know what he means then. Means about that. And Declan Murphy is wondering, this is a question of the morning, when is Nathan's leaving to?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I presume it's when Mayo win the All-Ireland. I think that's kind of the pattern now that emerges. Your county wins an All-Ireland, get out of Dodge, your job is done.
Yeah.
And he is, if you're talking about me as a propaganda machine for Kerry, then I think Mayo and Nathan is on a whole other level.
If you win the Talton Cup, you only go for 5 weeks. It's not that big of a deal, like.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, I'm shocked and appalled that we didn't have a going away saga for you before your trip to France to rub shoulders with some of Ireland's greatest sports stars.
Make Owen cringe. Keep your comments coming in with you to 10 o'clock this morning. Live crappy quiz. It's really the only thing you need to know this morning. Live crappy quiz coming your way just after 9 this morning, and we will bring it your way. It'll be Owen in the contestants' chair this week, and it'll be up against Ger and Shane. So that's coming up a little bit later on. We've Martin Lipton as well standing by to chat football, and plenty more to come all after these.
OTB AM. This is OTB Sports Radio.
Have you subscribed to the OTB Football Podcast?
When I was a nipper, I used to think that the Daleks were the most evil creatures in the universe. I'd never heard of the Glazers then.
In Ole's team, he had to play as a number 10 because there was no one else really creating anything. So he was just like constant Hollywood passes. He did a lot of running about, but he was basically in the team to make goals happen.
If you think about the traditional front three, including Firmino, and they were close to each other, and they just seem systematically right now, Liverpool are not clicking.
Subscribe now to the OTB Football Podcast stream wherever you get your podcasts, and download the OTB Sports app.
If your business relies on a van, that wouldn't sound good, but this does. Get up to 75% off van insurance. Now available in FBD branches nationwide. FBD Insurance. Support. It's what we do. 75% no claims discount based on 5 years claims free. Available on new van policies. Used for farm or business purposes. Terms and conditions apply. Underwritten by FBD Insurance plc. FBD Insurance Group Limited, trading as FBD Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
OTB AM.
With Gillette. Get into your flow with the new Gillette Labs Razor with exfoliating bar.
All right, it is 8:05. You're watching OTB AM on this Friday morning with you until 10 today. OTB AM brought to you live each morning by Gillette Labs for an effortless finish to your day. And we have lots to come between now and the end of the show. Also a reminder that Off the Ball needs your help. We're currently recruiting for a survey. And if you listen to us or watch us across any platform at least a couple of times a week, then we'd like to ask you a couple of questions and pick your brain a little bit. So you can sign up on Twitter. You can check out our pinned tweet over there if you're an Instagram user as well. Check out our save stories, and we're also posting this across TikTok and Facebook, so keep an eye out there. Failing that, you can WhatsApp us if you're an Uber fan, 0879 180 180, and we will send it out directly to you. There's 3 separate prizes as well of €100 vouchers up for grabs for anyone who takes part, so do get involved in all of that. We're going to turn to football, and we're going to talk to Martin Lipton of The Sun. Good morning to you, Martin.
Good morning, how are we?
Are you home or are you still out there?
I'm in Istanbul, so I've had to draw the curtains because it was too bright. It's a lovely view, but you can't see it because the curtains are drawn.
Good broadcasting sensibilities. Fair play. A long, drawn-out affair as usual?
Oh, God, it goes on and on, doesn't it? After half an hour, nothing's actually happened. It's like, come on, just draw the balls out. And in the end, you get an interesting draw, actually. Pretty good for the English clubs. 2 really good groups, actually. The one with Bayern Munich and Barcelona and Inter. And then the one with Juventus as well is quite interesting. But the English clubs, let's be honest, if they don't go through, it's their own fault. I mean, they've got pretty passable groups.
Yeah, and Tottenham, when you look at Frankfurt, Sporting Lisbon, Marseille, while they don't have a great record in France, and Marseille are packed with plenty of ex-Premier League players, including a hatful of Arsenal players, of course, as well. Overall, a pretty decent draw for Tottenham. I
think they'll take that. I mean, the view was they wanted Eintracht Frankfurt as the top seed. They thought they were the weakest, and obviously they've lost players, including Kostic, since last season. Sporting sold Nunez. They're always a difficult team, but they're not the best team in the world. They were champions 2 years ago, but not last season. And Marseille are a reasonable side, but Tottenham should still win that group. I think that's the expectation within them now. It doesn't mean they're going to go all the way to win the competition, but they would be pretty confident of reaching the quarterfinals. I think that's their target for the season.
You didn't bump into Dele Alli in the airport at any point?
I haven't yet. I mean, obviously, if I do see him as he comes in, that'd be great. I just want him to play football. I think it's been what's happened over the last 2 or 3 years. It's been really sad, actually, and part of it, a lot of it's got to be down to Dele himself. I think he was broken by Mourinho, actually. That didn't work for him, and Mourinho wanted to do to Dele what he did to Joe Cole, and tough love to make him work. And footballers are wired differently these days, I think. And Dele Alli didn't appreciate being treated in that way, and I think it added to a sense of him falling out of love with the game. And the thing about him, he was that this mixture of infectious enthusiasm and a bit of a nasty streak when required, and we've seen neither of those actually for 2 or 3 years. And the Everton move was a disaster. Let's be honest. I mean, one start and a handful of appearances, and has done nothing in an Everton shirt. And the fact they got rid of him within 6 months or 8 months tells you, I'm afraid, all you need to know.
That piece there about losing your love for the game and losing your energy, that's something you can rediscover, though, right? Especially if you remove yourself from the spotlight of England. If that's what we're saying it is. It's an attitude thing that obviously has. It's not just his own fault. It is obviously the people who are maybe looking after him. Like, that is something that you would think that in an ideal world he could rediscover.
You'd like to think so, but it's a long time since we've seen Dele playing as he can. I would say you're probably looking at 2 or 3 years now. Can you make up for 2 or 3 years of a significant downturn in form? Let us hope the answer to that is yes. The spotlight won't be the same. It will be quite big. I mean, we are talking about a mad football country here in Turkey, and he's playing for Besiktas, which is the team which is just around the corner from this hotel. But you overlook the ground from the other side of the hotel, so it shows how close it is in the heart of the city. It's the smaller, I suspect, of the three big Istanbul clubs, because a lot more attention goes to Galatasaray and Fenerbahce. And they've also got Besiktas here, who won the title a couple of years ago as well. So there are 4 big clubs in Istanbul now. But it won't be what he's used to. It will be a different environment. And also, let's be brutally honest, he won't be able to read what they're saying in the newspapers or saying about him on television. He won't know what they're saying. So that might help.
Do you think that got to him in the past, the press in England?
I don't think it helps. I think when things are going badly, it becomes a sort of a cycle of decline, doesn't it? And you take things more personally. You're aware of what's being said, and you know all of these things come together. Here it will be what he does on the football pitch, and he'll be equally accountable to himself, but he won't have the same degree of external footballing distractions, I don't think, because, as I said, I don't suppose he speaks a word of Turkish. Not many people do outside of Turkey. So it will allow him just to get on with being what he has to be. But then again, he's got to be willing to do that and be able to find his form and to make significant impacts in games and prove that he can play again, because otherwise there's a serious talent in danger of going to waste.
Yeah, and at 26 it looks like almost in some ways that his career is petering out in a way. Somebody 10 years his senior. Just one last one. Have you a sense, Martin, that his choice to, like you said about the stink, I suppose maybe at Everton, that his choice now to go and play football, albeit out of the spotlight at a club like Besiktas, is like is a positive thing for him, that he's trying to take control almost of his own career, get a bit of football and get his career back on track?
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, look, the talent is unquestioned. We saw it in those first 2 or 3 years at Spurs in particular. He was one of a generational talent you thought you had there, and the goals he scored, the quality he possessed, the ability he had to hurt teams. And that's what made him an England international. That's what saw him scoring in a World Cup quarter-final 4 years ago. That ability surely hasn't gone away. He, though, has got to really want to find it. It's down to him. I think going out of the comfort zone, going into another country is a vague thing, is a good thing. And you've seen other players thrive outside of England. But it's only a good thing if he's not just trying to escape from himself. If he's doing it because he really wants to put his career back on track, that's brilliant. If he just wants to escape the spotlight and not care too much about the outcome on the pitch, it won't last very long either, will it?
United Southampton will get the action underway tomorrow, and just want to look ahead to some of those games. We've been discussing the sort of split nature of the reaction to last Monday night's football. Whether United have found their team now and turned a corner and this is a portent of things to come, or whether it just suited them on Monday night because it was Liverpool and because Liverpool have been started to be found out in a way that maybe they weren't over the previous few seasons. Where's the truth of it all in your view?
I think we'll know by about 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, actually. It's a sort of game where United, if they are going to be significant players this season, will turn up and find a way to win and play half decently. But there's no guarantees of that. I mean, even against Liverpool, when they were the better team, there were moments of self-inflicted chaos at the back. And what you have with Southampton is really good dead ball delivery from Ward-Prowse. And they've discovered a little bit of spirit, haven't they? They came from 2 down against Leeds to get a draw, came back again from a goal down to win at Leicester last week. And just as you thought that Hasenhüttl was on his way out, they seem to be playing for him and looking to show some support for the manager. So it's not an easy game, and it's one that will be a proper testing ground in some ways. It is a one-off match against Liverpool, and the chaos that will come if you lose can work either way, and it worked positively for United. But if they can't back it up tomorrow, then all of that goodwill that was garnered on Monday night dissipates pretty quickly.
Just the point you made there, that they made a few chaotic moments for themselves on Monday night. Are you of the opinion that maybe that back four has got a little bit too much credit for Monday? Do you still think that they've got a lot to prove?
I think they defended quite well, but there were moments which were pretty hairy, scary. And if you're a United fan, you were watching it, from behind the sofa with your hands over your eyes at times, weren't you? I mean, it wasn't an authoritative defensive performance by any means. I don't think it was bad. I think there's a lot of desire shown and a couple of saves that were made by De Gea. But even with the changes, I think it'd be hard for us to say they look secure for 90 minutes. They got away with it.
To add to that security then, do you think that this is just more cohesion with that new centre-back partnership, maybe an upgrade on Dalot potentially, or what do you see as the improvement that potentially comes down the line for that Manchester United defence?
Yeah, you want a better right back, wouldn't you? Let's be honest about that. But it is game time. It's playing together. You want a settled unit if you can have one. Now, it looks as though he wants to play three of those, as it were, the left back and two centre halves. The Maguire's going to be on the bench for the moment. If he can get a right back he trusts, that will help. But also, they've got to have the shield. We'll see whether Casemiro, if and when he starts, can provide that shield as well, because that gives more security to the team. So we haven't seen yet, because of the recent arrival, what United are going to be in terms of the stability of the side. Nominally, at least with Casemiro in, even at 30, they should be better. I mean, he's an experienced, wily old soul, and he'll make a tactical foul when he has to. He'll give them that safeguard, I think, in front of the back four, which should allow the more attacking players to a bit more leeway and room to play him. So from a United perspective, it could be the start of something infinitely better than they saw in the first two games.
Yeah, and as you say, it's only watching them is going to tell, particularly against maybe some of the lesser teams. What's your sense on the Liverpool side, Martin? I was definitely of the view last season that they were quietly rebuilding. The Diaz coming in, the form of Jota. Suddenly, there's a lot of question marks about the direction of this team.
Yeah, I mean, if you've been told 2 years ago that Liverpool would go into a big match with a midfield of Milner, Henderson and a teenager in Harvey Elliott, you'd have thought, no, that's ridiculous. That's old Liverpool. That's not a Klopp Liverpool. And it didn't look like a Klopp Liverpool, did it, on Monday night? I thought they were exceedingly poor. The loss of Mane appears by the day to be more significant than people thought it might be. And that's not to discredit the effort and performances of Diaz. I think he's been really good. But Mane gave them something extra. And also he could play through the middle if he had to. He was able to stretch teams, had a bit of the devil in him when he needed to. I mean, got away with a few elbows last season, let's be honest about it, in a few games when he could have been sent off and didn't. But he gave them that extra bit of physicality. Teams were worried and wary of Mane. Firmino looked more leggy than the rest of them, and the rest of them looked leggy on Monday. He didn't have any input or impact on the game. Trent Alexander-Arnold was playing basically as a wing back in a four, wasn't he? And it didn't work. The gap behind him seemed bigger and bigger and bigger as it went on, and United targeted that. Gomez was struggling. Van Dijk it's hard to work out who played well for Liverpool and on Monday, and I've ended up with the thing that none of them did. They were just really poor from 1 to 11 or 1 to 14 after they make the subs. And that's a worry because they've had a pretty poor start. They were underwhelming against Fulham on the first day of the season, a match they should win at Fulham. They were decidedly underwhelming with Núñez sent off against Palace, and they were even worse than that on Monday night. So they'll be quite happy they got Bournemouth at home, I think, rather than Newcastle away, which would have really tested them.
After the opening 3 weeks, has your opinion changed on who might be best placed to challenge Manchester City then?
I still think that Liverpool, if they're at full throttle, are the second best team. And I still think that Spurs should be best of the rest. Arsenal, though, have been excellent this season. There's no doubt about it so far. Whether Gabriel Jesus can continue to play at this level, we will find out over time, but he's been excellent. I think you look at Arsenal and the doubt and equivocation would be what happens if they get 2 or 3 injuries. Because that obviously hurt them at the end of last season. They had a small squad and a couple of injuries really told. What happens if they get, who plays central midfield if they lose one there? Who scores the goals if Gabriel's out for 3 weeks? Do you really think Nketiah will score goals? What do they do at centre-half if Saliba or White get injured? These are issues that will only become clearer as if they become relevant as the season goes on. Spurs have not played well, but have got 7 points in the bank. And you think that because of the attacking options they've got, they'll find a way to score most games, which gives you a chance. And I think that Son has not really pulled up any trees yet. And we know, from the end of last season how good he can be. So they'll be quite positive. They haven't really seen Bissouma yet, who was a big signing. Perisic is now slotted in. The big surprise at Tottenham is that Emerson Royale can actually cross the halfway line and be half effective, which I think most Spurs fans doubted completely last season.
On that point around Arsenal and the potential injuries, if we leave the injuries potential to one side and the depth that is very much yet to be tested, I think you were on maybe 3/4 of the way through last season saying that there were still question marks around Arsenal's mentality and the fragility that they'd shown in the past, and ultimately I guess that was proven to be correct when they did end up not finishing in the top 4. Have you seen anything since then that would maybe change that view, that has shown to you that maybe there's a little bit more resilience mentally in that squad this season?
It's hard to say that on the basis of the matches they played. But they went to Palace last year and they humiliated 3-0. This year they won 2-0, but it was the first game of the season. Mentality's different. Leicester are a poor side, and they that was a game that Arsenal were the better team, but you could have seen that finishing 4-3, 4-4 even. If the penalty doesn't get overturned, who knows? And then last week at Bournemouth, they were excellent, no question about that. They blitzed them. It's about what they do when the going gets tough. Sometimes with Arsenal, when the going gets tough, the tough go shopping, don't they? I mean, they don't really seem to have it in them. Other times you think, wow, this is a really good team. And this inconsistency is that it's something that's dogged them for the last 4 or 5 years, arguably. And that needs to be sorted out. I've been watching, I think a lot of us have the Amazon Prime All or Nothing on Arsenal. And I'm increasingly wide-eyed with every dressing room shot of Arteta, because it's either genius or madness, or somewhere between the two, I guess. Some of the concepts he brings in will make me think of David Brent, to be honest. And yet it looks like the players want to buy into it. And if that continues, that's great. How do they react, though, again, in adversity? How do they react when they lose a cup? The problem with Arsenal over the last few years has been great run, 5 or 6 games, but then lose one, and they lose 3 or 4. Whereas City lose one, that means that tells them, right, we're not going to lose for another 8 now. We're just going to go out and win the next 7 or 8. Arsenal haven't had that. One knock takes all the wind out of their sails for quite some time, and dealing with downturns in form or poor results is absolutely critical for any team over a season.
The David Brent comparison is interesting. We've been discussing the documentary fair bit on the show over the last few weeks, and it's very difficult not to like Mikel Arteta off the back of All or Nothing. But exactly as you say, it strikes me that it's the sort of message that in a winning dressing room, it's grand and everything sort of rolls week to week, and it's like, yeah, we can totally get behind this. It's when things are going a little bit sour, where it can come off a little bit contrived, I guess, is probably the point.
I like the fact that he's willing to do something different every time. It seems that he genuinely plans and thinks through how he's going to refresh the players, that they don't want to hear the same thing. I mean, some of the key messages are going to be constantly reiterated, but what he from the evidence that we've seen now is that he looks to galvanize players by giving them something they don't expect. And that doesn't have to be negative. A lot of it's very positive messaging. Using the board to pictures and illustration and ideas and light bulbs to to engage the players and bring them on board make them want to listen.
Yeah.
But do they want to listen when they're 2 down at Liverpool, or when they've just messed up and conceded in the last minute of the first half at home to whoever, Palace?
It's a methodology, certainly in terms of the effing and jeffing and the thumping of things that you would imagine behind the scenes Antonio Conte fully subscribes to. What about Tottenham over the next little while? It looks like I think the fixtures still have to come out, obviously, for the Champions League draw, but potentially 9 games across October. Arsenal and United amongst them, and then I think City and Liverpool either side of that in the months either side of that. A packed fixture schedule. Have they the depth at the minute to cope with that?
I think more so than last season, certainly. I mean, we will see everywhere. This is going to be the most difficult season for every club to manage, because by November 13, you've got, for the Big Six, you've got 16 Premier League games, 6 Champions League / Europa League games, and the international break in the middle of that in September, where they're going to, potentially lose players. And also with a lot of players thinking, I don't really want to get injured now because I've got the World Cup in 2 weeks' time or 3 weeks' time. That's where you do need to keep players fresh. You need to have depth. Spurs look to have more depth. I think they could still do with a couple. I think in an ideal world, they get another centre-half and bin off either Sanchez or Tanganga, if not both. I think they could do with a proper creative midfielder who can play as a 10 and just change the game if required. And you might want someone to replace Hill if he goes to Valencia, as seems likely. Another wide man probably, but maybe someone who can just offer something different. But at the moment, if Kane does get injured, and that doesn't happen as often as some people think, given he missed 1 game last season, I think, and won the previous one game last season, and none of them for injury last season. He plays a lot more matches than people realise. But if he does get injured, you can play with Richarlison at 9. You can play Son if you have to at 9. You've got Kulusevski and Moura, so they look to have some decent options up top. They've now got 4 central midfielders with Skip, Basuma, Bentancur and Hoberg. And Hoberg has started the season extremely well. Romero, they played without him last week. He could be back this weekend, but that relationship with that trio of him, Dyer and Davis looks quite solid. Perisic has obviously given them depth. Sessegnon scored on the first weekend of the season, and he'll grow and learn from playing with Perisic. And they've now got 3 right-back options in Emerson, Doherty and Spence. So they look to be in a better place, certainly, than they were. But it's Spurs, isn't it? Let's be honest. Let's see where they are in December. Or actually not December, because none of them are in December, in January, when they come back after the World Cup.
Quoting Roy Keane is probably the best place to leave that. Thanks, Martin.
No worries, take care.
Good on you. Martin Lipton of The Sun there, talking all things football. Very interesting, as always. Again, plenty of comments coming in. Rick Jagger wonders, is there a GoFundMe page for Owen's travels?
That would be absolutely fantastic.
I can see your eyes light up. Yes!
Rick.
Great idea.
Just DM me, I'll send you my Revolut details.
Fair play, Owen. Enjoyed the travels, says Latte Larry. You'll be missed. Mark Kohler says, wandering off the theme here, Mark, what's up with you? Lads, if United sign Anthony, Gakpo and De Jong before the end of the window, where do you think Man United will end up? There's a Liam Brady quote that
I think it's about more than the personnel they bring in at this stage, isn't it? It's about whether or not the personnel they have can achieve what their talents probably will allow them to achieve.
But if they signed a hatful of players, they'd be great.
Yeah, they've signed a handful of players though over the last 10 years, and a lot of them have fallen well short of expectations. So I think it's a lot more than just the personnel. That being said, when they confirmed the signing of Casemiro, I was like, right, that is a bit of a signal of intent.
It's a bit of a statement. Yeah. Devin McLean says, Mark, you are listening too much to Goldbridge. United aren't getting any of those players, unfortunately. Best of luck with the travels, says David McLean. Forget about all back here. Don't even think about doing updates. Experience and enjoy it yourself. One life, live it.
Thank you very much. That's the sort of stuff I'm after now.
That is the deepest of comments I think that we've had so far. Most people are selfishly like, oh, don't get out of our lives. Continue, give us some of the good stuff from South America.
Yeah, well,
but he's like, no.
I can.
You go and look after yourself.
We can do both.
Shoulders back, chest out. You go and smash it.
That's it. Yeah, that's a nice pep talk there, Adrian.
Spurs have a breeze of a Champions League group, and they have a squad strong enough to deal with the season ahead, says JP Wright. What else have we got? I think Spurs will push City and Liverpool. Conte's a class act, says Mark. And that's it. Loads of other comments coming in there as well. So we'll leave that there for now. But if you have more thoughts on the football or Owen, whichever topic it is that's getting your dial going most this morning, do feel free to get in contact with us. We're with you until 10 this morning. And a reminder that we have a live crappy quiz coming your way as well just after 9 this morning. We're also going to talk college football very shortly. But before all of that, delighted to say one of our favourite guests is back to join us. Eric Donovan, good morning to you.
Good morning, lads. How are you?
How are you keeping?
Sure, I'm the finest. Finest.
In the kitchen, coffee on. Nice start to a Friday.
Yeah. Sorry, I got a little bit of a mix up this morning, so I did with the times. But sure, look, I'm here.
Blame our producer Eric. We all do it. It's the only way forward. Ultimate Hell Week.
Yes.
What's going on? You've it done.
Well, I was dying to share the news yesterday. It was the hardest news to try and keep quiet for so long. And just so hard. I was just dying, and there was so many times that I was talking to people in conversation where it just almost fell out of my mouth. But yesterday we got the go ahead. The launch was on for RT's autumn series and all the new shows that are coming out. And so we're free to talk about it. No spoilers, obviously, so sorry about that. But what a show! It's going to be just unreal. You're going to love
it. The obvious question, Eric, is just how hard it is physically and mentally compared to, I don't know, a weight cut or particularly taxing training camp before a fight.
Honestly, it's one of the toughest things I've ever done in my whole life. Like it is the toughest thing I've ever done in my whole life. Just absolutely crazy. And you see, for me, my last fight was on the 14th of May, my last boxing match, and that was in Belfast. And then I was due to meet up with the rest of the crew for Hell Week on the 15th of May, the day after in Cork. And then it was action, cameras rolling on the Monday. So I didn't even know how I was going to come through the fight. Every time you step in the boxing ring, you know, you're putting yourself at a risk. You know, you could get a cut, you could get a bad injury, anything could happen. And so even in the fight, like, I was just fully focused on the fight. But at the back of my mind as well, it was also kind of like, right, I've agreed to do this. I've agreed to do this thing as well, and I have to kind of come through that. But I told him, in principle, I provisionally go. You know, interviews, everything done, and but I have to come through this fight. But I came through the fight handy. Like, I won't say handy enough, but I stuck to my boxing and just got through it and got the win. And then it was like, right. Normally after a fight, I take a week off and enjoy myself. But this time I went straight into hell.
I have to say, I love the show. I absolutely love it. Once you watch one, you get totally hooked. And I think there's a part of everybody that watches it goes, I wonder, could I? And I'm certainly under no illusions. When you say it was one of the toughest things you've ever done, was it the physical thing or the mental part of it?
Just everything. They literally, you're tested. You know, as is it Ray Goggins? Is it? Yeah, he says we will test the core of your soul. You know, it gives me shivers even listening to that man. Do you know what I mean? Just they really do test you. You know, it's just anything you can think of. Like, when you think of tough challenges, it's that and multiplied by many more times.
Because, like, they turn up the fatigue and they know when to push your buttons at the right time. Is that it?
Yeah, look, they're, to be honest with you, they're absolutely brilliant at what to do. I've really a lot of respect and admiration for them, like, you know, and there's like, when I was watching the show myself, like, and it's one of our favorite shows as well on TV, you kind of watch and you kind of wonder, I wonder, is it that bad? Like, you know, I wonder, is it like, you know, when the cameras stop, maybe it's, but listen, trust me, a baptism of fire, tough, tough event, really tough event. I tell you, it's going to make for great TV though.
I'm not sure was he talking about the show in particular, but I remember reading an interview with Portugal Hora a while back, and he was just talking about that mental part of it, and when he goes to that dark place he needs to tell himself that it's just his mind playing tricks on him, which I thought was an interesting way of rationalising maybe the physical and mental toll that something like this takes. Do you have any I guess any methods like that, or anything in the inner monologue that constantly comes up to try and help you persevere in those moments?
Yeah, but that's the constant battle, isn't it, with mental health with people? You know, it's the mind playing tricks on you. You know, it's the mind telling you one story, and then you're hoping to believe in it. You know, and you might believe that story that the mind is telling you, but you know, you obviously want to be creating your own positive stories. You know, and it's about how you talk to yourself, how you you know, the kind of views that you have, you have to challenge those thoughts, especially those thoughts where you feel like you're not good enough, or you're not capable, or you're worthless, or you're inadequate, and all those kind of things. You have to really stand up for yourself and challenge yourself, and try and overcome them. So in a way, he's right in what he's saying, you know, because you will go to those dark places in there, but you know, many people go through those dark places every day in their life, you know, when they're battling all whatever struggles they're going through. And it's very, very important that you stand up for yourself and use whatever supports are available to you as well. In there was a huge kind of there was a very, very important rule, almost like, you know, that you got to look out for each other. You know, it was that teamwork, that team ethic. It was all about, you know, helping each other, working with each other, and that was really good. I loved that aspect of it. But yeah, you know, you just kind of have to overcome. And what I loved about it as well, what I loved about the whole program is every single person that was in there had to be like, they were confronted with their biggest fears, you know, and I think in life we sometimes have to push ourselves to those places, take ourselves out of our comfort zone, because you learn something new about yourself every time you do that. Whether it goes good or whether it goes bad, you still learn what, you know, that you have something inside that you never knew that was there before.
I'm backing you. I know you can't give any information, but I'm backing you to have lasted the whole lot, and that's where my money is at. So I know you can't talk. When is it out?
The first episode is Wednesday, the 7th of September.
7th of September, right? Well, we will keep an eye on that. Other business, obviously, you're just a month out from Khalil El Hadri from France in Belfast. It's the vacant EU Super Featherweight Championship, and I know when you came out of retirement in 2016, this was the end point, right? This is where you wanted to be.
It was kind of it was really goal for me. You know, it was icing on top, kind of. So I'm you know, it's after coming full circle for me now, and I have the chance. You know, we talk about getting chances, and sometimes in life, you know, professional careers, they don't go the way people want them to go, whatever, you know. And for me, most athletes would probably be winding down at 31 or wrapping it up. I turned professional at 31, and here I am at 37 now with a dream opportunity, an opportunity to make a dream come true. So I'm ready. I'm training hard. I'm sharpening the tools every single day, and I cannot wait for it. It's almost sold out. There's a small few tickets left on eventbrite.co.uk. I think that's the name of the website. Yeah. There's the last couple left. So, you know, just get in and get them, and come and watch a fantastic night and watch me become European champion.
And it's live on TG Car as well for anybody when the sold out. I know you don't want to get people there first of all, and then obviously people can watch it after that on TG Car. On TG Car, you mentioned the win in Belfast in May over Gomez, and last September as well, and another fight I think going back to 2020. Like, it's a venue and a city that has been really good to you. Is there a part of that that's like feeling a bit like home in terms of fight night, or what's your relationship with the venue and with Belfast like now?
Yeah, like, it's, you know, it has been good to be fair, it has been good over the last while, and you know, it's they've looked after us, the Europa Hotel, and it's a nice location, and you know, we're still fighting on Irish soil, and this fight is a home fight to me. You know, all the fans, 99% of the fans that are going to be there are going to be my fans. They're going to be in my corner, and I'm very lucky to have that, and very grateful to my sponsorship team for coming up trumps and winning the purse bid to make all of these arrangements. And thanks to my manager, Mark Dunlop, for all of his work and putting it together. It's, you know, it's a big operation, you know, TV trucks, and I mean, the police in Northern Ireland have to be involved as well to kind of make sure everything kind of, you know, trucks have to come in, the roads and all have to kind of be manned and looked after. Like it's a big operation. So I just want to thank a lot of people for making it happen. I just don't want to look too far past this fight. I want to win this fight. I'm going to win this fight. I believe in myself. I believe this is my time. And then we can talk about some exciting, subsequent opportunities after that, I suppose.
You're not thinking that this is, I get this done and I get out of here. You're thinking, I get this done and I kick on.
Yeah, well, you know, I win this, and you know, I fulfilled a goal, a career goal, and you know, I'll be very, very interested then to discuss and talk about other opportunities, because why not? You know, it'll be a great position to be in, and it'd be great to have options and choices, and maybe we can go one or two more times. Who knows?
Like, you're fighting against these pups basically, and like the age thing is not a factor, because the last fella you beat was younger again than this lad. So obviously that's not in your consideration. How long do you think you will keep going for? Like, as you said, you obviously had that break in your career. Do you feel that, like, I know Paul O'Connell used to always say when he was injured, well, that's, if I'm out for a year now, that's a year in the bank at the end of my career. What are you thinking?
Yeah, it's hard to really know. It's hard to pinpoint it. Like, some days are tough, some days I'm, you know, I'm buzzing again. But you know, it is hard. It's a hard sport, tough sport. It's not the kind of sport you want to be trying to get longevity from, you know. Like, it's never been for me about money or fame or anything. It's just been about trying to fulfill a career ambition and trying to win a title, because I feel like I let myself down during my amateur career. Look, I've won an awful lot. I'm very, very lucky that, you know, well, I'd say lucky, but like I've a lot of accolades in boxing. I've won an awful lot, but I've also left a lot behind me, and I just want to try and make amends there, and to try and right a few wrongs, and winning this title will be justification for me in that regard. And then I am, as I said, 37. My wife Laura is due her baby 2 weeks after I become European champion, and so, you know, my priorities will be also changing at the same time. But you know, there is the possibility of that I like to hold on to the idea of maybe having a big homecoming, whether here in Drogheda, where I'm living now, or back home in my home county of Kildare. You know, one or the other. Just, I would love to, you know, bring a big night back down south, and maybe even both before I hang up the gloves. But again, this all depends on being successful on the 24th of September, and that's where my focus lies.
If you thought Ultimate Hell Week was tough, wait till the new baby arrives, and that on repeat. What just on the point about the stuff that you've left behind in your amateur career, and then, you know, if I can get this win, I think is what you said, then that would, you know, be justification for all of that stuff. How hard is it to try and make your peace with that stuff, Eric? Sort of almost regardless of the result, and almost regardless of the end of your career. Is that impossible? Do you need that success? Do you need the fulfillment of what the next couple of years will bring?
Yeah. If I told you no, I don't, I'd be lying probably. You know, I really do want to win this. You know, I've been talking about this for so long. To be fair, when I started out as a professional, this wasn't like, because I was 3 years in retirement. I know I was doing a little bit of training, a little bit of sparring, but I wasn't competing, and didn't really know if the spark was there again. And the idea was always to just get a few fights under my belt and experience professional sport and see what it's like. But when I got going, I got a bit of momentum. I got a bit of a kind of a backing and a few fans behind me, and it kind of just built up, you know, built up a bit of momentum and kind of the ball got rolling, let's say. And I won the Celtic title, won the Irish title, and then had the chance to fight for the EU title last May 2021. And I fractured my rib, and I was kind of like, oh my God, jeez, like I came so close, and you know, it's after been taken away from me, like, and so they're after coming back around for me again, you know, and I had two big massive fights in the meantime against Selfa Barrett and Robisi Ramirez, two world top 10 fighters, and one of the greatest fighters of all time in Ramirez. And them fights didn't go my way, you know. One of those fights, I gave a very good account of myself against Selfa Barrett. My stock rose up, and I done really well, but ultimately got knocked out. And then Ramirez kind of stopped me. I never really got to show what I could do in that fight. It was over before I knew it. So, but look, trust me, even those losses are the reason I'm in this position right now, fighting for European title, because they've made me stronger as a man, as a boxer, as a human being overall. You know, tough lessons in life and in sport, but you learn so much about yourself going through that adversity. And I just believe that everything that I've been through, all of the adversity I've been through, is going to come right for me on the 24th. And I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to seal the deal and get that European title.
Those tough lessons that you talk about, Eric, do you think you were better placed to handle those tough lessons that boxing hands out because of the fact that you turned professional later than maybe some younger boxers, for example?
Well, I wouldn't say it just solely on age, but maybe because of the journey I've been on and the kind of personal transformation that I've been on in terms of like personal growth and maturity, and just maybe my counseling training and all that kind of stuff. I'm working with people, working with the supports around me. So yeah, in some ways, you know, not solely on age alone, but just mainly life experiences, I suppose. Yeah.
What obviously with the rival a couple of weeks after the fight, does that change your plans in the lead into the fight, or what is your plan for, you know, the transition up to Belfast? Will you go up there well in advance? Will you closet yourself away, or what are you thinking?
Well, actually, we're going to have a media day next Monday in Drogheda Boxing Club here in Drogheda, and that's a boxing club just near the Lourdes, the hospital there. It's called Drogheda Boxing Club, and you know, all the media are invited to come along. It's at 11 o'clock till 1 o'clock, or 11 o'clock till 2 o'clock. Everybody that's on the card is going to be there. There's going to be interviews and a couple of face-offs. It's a nice undercard to have, like, you know, and we haven't been what would you say? We haven't been getting this kind of boxing, you know, these boxing cards in Ireland for over the last while, and boxing has been hit really hard. But there's a couple of there's two kind of derbies on it: Dublin versus Belfast, and then you've got two Cavan lads fighting each other. So that's a real local derby there. So, and then you've got a Belfast guy versus Liverpool, you know, and then there's one or two debutants or, you know, early guys in their career making their mark, and then you've got the big one with myself. Sorry, Thomas McCarthy's on it as well, your former European champion, Thomas McCarthy from Belfast. So he's the co-support or chief support, yeah. So it's going to be good.
It's going to be a cracker, and you're absolutely a boxing story that people can believe in and get behind as well. And you know that we're right behind you, and look forward to catching up with you when you're the champ. So good man, thanks a million. Well done.
Thanks
a lot, Eric Donovan on the line there, as always, really interesting and forthright, and like definitely, do you know, there's so much in sport to be cynical about, but just the likes of Eric, you just hope that he goes and gets it done and fulfills that thing, because he's just a really likeable, good guy.
Yeah, absolutely, no question about that, and also someone you're going to end up rooting for in Ultimate Hell Week, it seems.
Do you watch it?
I've seen bits of it, to be fair. Yeah, it's.
So you're not in my. When you watch one, you're hooked.
I guess I would be. I've got probably just got commitment issues.
Commitment issues. Whoa!
I don't know where that's kept. I don't have to commit.
Jesus Christ! It's taken until a couple of days before his departure. He's just built forth.
When it comes to TV shows,
Wow.
I haven't.
Go on.
No, just make the point.
Is that
bad at following
are you finding
through
that
with
professionally
TV
or
shows.
personally, or what's the?
Just it affects my entire life. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because you were getting some feedback last night from your colleagues as well, some fairly direct feedback about your personality traits.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. How drunk were you exactly? You don't seem to be able to remember exactly what was going on last night.
No, I'm not quite sure what you were referring to there. I'm just saying that I don't often stick to a TV show when I start watching it. That's it. There is there's no more levels to it.
I feel as if, like, you know, do you remember the day we were sat here in Kenny Cunningham? Do you remember that day Kenny was in and he said, I can't remember what we were talking about. It was top of the show. There was great old banter going on, and Kenny said, "Oh yeah, my caps and stuff." No, I don't have any. We were talking about the stuff that people have donated.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he said, "No, that stuff is it's all in black bags in the attic."
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I went, "Oh Jesus, clear the decks for the next half hour. This is it's an incredible moment. One of the highlights of our time together."
Of course, yeah.
And I also feel as if I'm doing my work, my industry, a disservice now by you saying that you've got commitment issues and not fully addressing it.
Yeah, you didn't know what you just missed out on there, Adrian.
Mick McCarthy, good morning to you, Mick. Says this morning, Rumours Owen is tired and emotional this morning after listening to Bob Dylan records instead of going to bed last night.
That would have been a good idea, actually, but I did choose bed. I did wake up to a CD. Not wake up to. I arrived into the office this morning and there was a CD placed on my desk, which definitely wasn't there yesterday. And the CD is McGowan speaking Beckett. So I'm not sure what that says.
You stuck it on, did you? Is that why you're so self-reflective?
I did put it on for a few minutes on YouTube. I didn't have any capabilities of putting a CD into a CD player, but it's available on YouTube as well. And I listened to a bit of it, and it's perhaps a sign of the doom that's about to fall upon me after 9 o'clock this morning.
Are you Dylan man?
Ah, yeah. Who isn't?
Plenty of people.
Definitely.
Navel gazing.
We all have to be. Like we all have to be with Arthur O.D. obviously working with us.
True,
Arthur O. PhD on Bob Dylan.
That's true.
To give him his full name.
John Donegal texted in this morning. Good morning to you, John. He said this quiz, which begins in about 20 minutes' time. This quiz, as its name suggests, it's pure oil and self-indulgent. OTB do some really excellent work. It's such a pity that OTB and Newstalk let themselves down by continuing with this tired joke that ran out of steam after the first season.
Oh no, we're still in season 1. This is like episode 412
exactly
of season 1. Yeah, yeah. No, we will retire it after the first season. Like I agree with you wholeheartedly, John Donegal. But unfortunately, season 1 is still in transit.
I would also say, like, fair play for getting in to say that it was so shit before it even begins. That's a level of desire and commitment that none of the rest of us really
Today'll
have.
be a good one, definitely. This is finally the day that John Donegal comes on board and is like, now I like this stuff.
Tommy wonders if there's some connection or just a coincidence that Owen's leaving as Who's Your Daddy has returned. Good luck and enjoy the travels.
I think that you know the answer to that question already.
Well, I think it was more a case that while I was away, you became so self-reflective listening to McGarren on Beckett or whatever it was, McGarren, that you just thought, I can't be such a slave to, enjoying my Fridays so much, that this is unhealthy. And when he's not here, then I just feel as if I feel so empty.
Yeah, like what is life anymore without Adrian Barry on a Friday is basically where my head went, and yeah, I just made the decision before you returned.
Where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here?
Good luck to Owen, says Memory Warrior. Always enjoyed him on the show. Not as preachy as the others. I do love how a lot of the feedback that's come in is basically people taking an opportunity to go, well, good luck to you, but those other wankers.
I am here for it, to be honest with you. Keep that sort of stuff coming in.
Eric's Kitchen gets a lot of exposure, says Shifty Lad. Good morning to you, Shifty Lad.
Good Kitchen.
Best of luck. Love listening to him. Good luck to him in his next fight. Bet he finished Hell Week as well. Always an outstanding speaker. It feels like I'm losing a friend, says Hugh Janis. Aina Finn is a really good shout. Go full Nick Faldo.
Hugh Janis. I think you mispronounced that one there.
No, you're right. I think I perfectly pronounced it, to be honest with you.
Full Nick Faldo.
Yeah.
Good shout.
Is that in the plan? Because you have Monday and Tuesday to do yet.
Yeah. No, I don't know. We'll see.
Have you become? Maybe that answers my question. Have you become in any way a little bit more comfortable with the praise and breadth of response to your departure?
No. I'm. I don't really know how to answer that question. No is the answer to that question.
Okay, well, let us continue with it then. And Jenny Claffey, one of our regulars here in OTB AM, of course, tennis expert and a tennis player of some renown, as we've established herself as well, has been in touch.
Hey Owen, Jenny here. Just want to wish you all the best on your year of travel and adventure. I hope it's everything you wish for and more. You'll be sorely missed over the next year, but I look forward to catching up with you next year. All the best. Up the kingdom.
Excellent. Finally, we get an Up the Kingdom from somebody brilliant.
From a tennis court as well. Like
Absolutely.
Authentic content.
One of the breakout stars of OTB in 2022, I want to say, Jenny Claffey. The Wimbledon slots were outstanding. Looking forward to the next one, I suppose. We'll have her in next month for the US Open.
It also keeps Buig off the air, which is a double win.
Well, I mean, that probably speaks volumes of what she's brought to proceedings, that Buig has actually looked in the mirror and said, you know what, I'm not the forefront tennis pundit on this station anymore.
Shane Kenny says, Ganairi and Tall at Owen. Met him about 1 a.m. in Fukuoka. Is that?
Fukuoka, yeah.
Is that my... At the time, it was like we all just got in the habit of saying it. Nobody batted an eyelid. And now, like a couple of years later, it's like, oh, that is quite funny. After Ireland against Samoa, when he spotted me in my Kerry jersey. We got a lot of typhoons down in Kerry.
Yeah, I remember. Of course, I remember this guy. Absolutely brilliant. No, that was his line. He was in the fan montage. And it was the game there was definitely a typhoon en route to Fukuoka at that point, and he was giving his analysis on the weather, and his killer line was that we don't get a lot of typhoons in Kerry. Very an absolute gent. I remember that well.
Best of luck, lad. He says, Up the Kingdom, says Jared, and I think potentially close enough anyway to the final stop on our route.
Good news.
Goodbye to Owen. Is Adrian O'Mahony.
Owen, just a quick message to wish you the very best of luck in your new adventure. I'm sure Ger Gilroy and the boys will have a lot of sleepless nights before your departure. You will be a massive loss to Off the Ball, and you will be a massive loss to us Kerry people as well, which you represent us above in the capital. You were a great man. You never sat in the fence. I loved your passion. We always spoke about Kerry football and Kerry in general, and that's always great to see. You have great wit about you, and you're someone that always reminds me that whatever you do in life or wherever you go, you'll always be successful. So the very best of luck on, and we will see you in 2023 when hopefully we'll be doing back-to-back All-Irelands.
That's for sure. Jeez, that's very nice of Adrian O'Mahony now.
Are you conscious of that? Like, I was acutely conscious last night with sort of half OTB people and then half Kerry people, or actually a lot of them weren't really from Kerry, like Barry Lennon, who just sort of they put the green and gold in their pocket and
you decided to go there. I see.
But like, you know, that there's, you know, the thing that we joke about all the time, the Yearism and all, it's actually real though on some level. I know it's not, you can't reach out and touch it. It's like this thing that lives in the ether. But like that representing Kerry bit that Adrian O'Mahony's talking about there, are you conscious of that? And when you're, you know, talking about Kerry GA particularly, that it's like, you know, I can't make a misstep here. I can't say something that's going to in some way impact. It can't be the grain of rice that impacts on Kerry not winning the All-Ireland.
Like, I mean, she's absolutely not to that. But I think you probably just get maybe a little bit too kind of wound up about not trying to be overly biased towards Kerry or whatever team you're clearly attached to, you know. Just because maybe at the start I would have been like quite clearly maybe more biased outwardly, whereas now I just try and keep it inside.
Keep a lock on it, like.
Yeah, exactly. But not very successfully, obviously, but I try my best.
Very good. We've lots of other stuff to come. We are going to have a live crappy quiz coming your way in, I don't know, about 10 minutes time. We've Owen versus Ger versus Shane Hannon, and I mean, I can't believe that there are people that are watching us this morning wondering what's happening, who's leaving. Shane is off, Owen is off, and we're wishing him the long goodbye. It's as long as Brian O'Driscoll's departure.
It is
from a rugby jersey.
People tuned in this morning to listen to sports content.
They haven't. They're here for it, Owen. You know they are. A reminder, by the way, as well, that Braeburn Coffee is the official coffee partner of OTB. Each week we're going to give one lucky viewer a €100 voucher to spend on some Braeburn coffee goodness at an Apple Green store near you. To enter that, you can check out @OffTheBall on Twitter. You can just like and retweet our Braeburn competition post, and that will make you in our draw. Braeburn Coffee never compromise on quality or taste. It gives you the best on-the-go coffee experience on the road, and all available at Apple Green today. So if you're out and about and you want to get your hands on a nice cup of joe, that's where you need to go. So we are going to talk college football in just a couple of moments' time, but we're going to continue in the long Owen farewell And this is one, folks, that I do recommend that wherever it is, whatever it is you're up to this morning, at almost 9 o'clock, sit back, relax, turn off all other distractions. If you're on the commute, good morning to you. Tell everybody else to shut up, take your headphones out and put it on the speaker. Sit back, relax,
What is this going to be?
and enjoy this from the hills of Inishkeen.
It's definitely going to be Shane Hannon or something, is it?
Hello there. My name is Shane Hannon, and in honour of Eoin Sheehan leaving off the ball, I've decided here from the stony grey soil of County Monaghan, beautiful part of the world, to write him a little poem in honour of his leaving us. This is called A Quizmaster Farewell by me, Shane Hannon. With Kerry's drought for Sam over, the kingdom's finest temporarily calls it a day. Eoin is off on his travels for a year and a day. Not for tax reasons, and it's not a permanent goodbye, but he is a man of culture, and so we must let his green and gold wings fly. How did this happen? Richard Cooper might ask. Ultimately, where do we go from here? You've had pints from Croker to Inniskeen. It's time to sample the South American beer. You've had dinner with Graham Hunter. You're both music men too. It's time for some rumba in Rio, some salsa in Peru. We thought you'd only leave for Nashville, the perfect time for a draft. 150,000 off-the-ball viewers will miss you, an expert at your craft. You won't need a lift to the airport, because that's your Uber right there. Per Jer misses you already, the man from Athy crying, it's just not fair. You thought Neil Armstrong was alive, and although he was first on the moon, you pioneered talking to drunk Irish fans and rating brutal Japanese food. You've tried sushi on camera, Kerry made on rice, culinary adventures galore. It's time for some South American spice. The power rankings will continue. Like Arsenal post-Wenger, they are big shoes to fill. Adrian will miss you on Fridays, some Malbec and Brie, and he'll feel less ill. The crappy quiz has lost its leader. As the quizmaster, you led it with honour. It too, though, will go again, like the 2022 Jack O'Connor. Enjoy the travels, young Sheehan. There'll be plenty of Insta-pics and joys. Team OTB will see you on your return, when you can once again separate the men from the boys.
Ah, absolutely excellent. Look how beautiful that is. That's a round of applause, Adrian. I think there's only two of us. That is absolutely phenomenal from Shane Hannon.
Very good.
Poet. I mean, what is it? What is it in the water in Monaghan that just creates such lyrical geniuses? That is,
isn't it? Beautiful, like.
That is absolutely lovely.
Is that as close
Thank
as
you,
you've come to tears now?
Yeah, I think I'm doing okay. I think once the lights are on in here and all that, I think I'm good. I'm just going to go to the bathroom.
You go for a little quiet cry after every show every day.
Yeah, exactly. Weep. Thank you, Shane. That was lovely. I think he's coming in for the quiz as well.
Quagmire makes a good point. The same initials as Seamus Heaney. Coincidence?
Yeah.
I think not.
Very good point. Very good point. Definitely not a coincidence.
Good luck, Owen, says Graham Farrell. David says, leaving my first ever comment on the stream and likely my last, since Owen is pretty much the only reason I tune in every morning. All the best. David, sticking the knife in, twist it around.
Yeah, like the whole thing is that there's going to be like a whole flood of like new commenters that conveniently start watching next Wednesday. It's like, I wonder what's.
They're like, who's that guy?
What's changed? Why have they just started watching this show all of a sudden?
Owen, one last time for old time's sake, says TB. Is it UK or England?
England.
Wicklow Wolf says, last year I bumped into Owen in Dublin. I was down and out. Owen gave me his jacket. Do you remember this?
Go on.
And a gold coin. And I turned that coin into crypto, and now I'm a millionaire.
Yeah, I remember that.
And Hugh has been in touch from the Boar's Head. Good morning to you, Hugh. Owen, I can assure you the Kerry picture is being framed. Now, who will I take down from the wall?
Oh,
wow.
No, we.
Wow. Where would you go from there?
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna comment on that. They're all great winners. They all have lovely Sam Maguires.
9:05, live crappy quiz. Stay tuned, coming your way very shortly. And also we're going to talk college football briefly after these. Before that, John Giles on Casimiro.
But Casemiro we've probably seen a lot of with Real Madrid over the last decade or so. Looks like the kind of player that they probably need in midfield, United.
Yeah, he's been a very good player for quite a few seasons now, and it should be better. But it's down to the relationship that the manager has with the rest of the players, Richie. I think, in the dressing room, if the players are not all together, and they haven't been all together up to yes, that's the first time we've seen them together. And I think the Ronaldo situation was a big part of that. Now they should be on their way to get this new player in who should be a help to them. But the players that they have there, I mean, Manchester United have got very, very talented players. And it's just their spirit in recent times that they haven't showed in a way that they showed against Liverpool. Yeah. But I think that this lad coming in has been a good player for Real Madrid for quite a few seasons. But what they need now is to repeat the performance that they had against Liverpool and to get a consistency to their game that you'd expect from Manchester United. Yeah. They have the players, in my opinion.
That is John Giles talking about what might be in store for United ahead now. If you're paying the slightest bit of attention to what's going on over the next while, certainly over here over the last couple of years. In fact, it's Nebraska against Northwestern in the Aer Lingus College Football Classic at the Aviva. It's tomorrow evening. Delighted to say Zack Carpenter, reporter on all things Nebraska for the Rivals Network, is with us. Zack, good morning to you.
Morning, guys. Appreciate you having me. First time out of the U.S. and first time in Ireland, so I've been learning. I just heard about hurling, got the whole lowdown on that from the Uber driver on the way over here.
Did you?
Yeah.
He was like, did he try to explain to you that it's not as dangerous as it looks? Because that's typically what we say to people.
I think that's what he was getting at, but it's like fast, physical. Like he told me look up like some YouTube highlights. I had 2 Uber drivers tell me that exact same thing. Like look up best of hurling. I'm like, all right. Now that 2 people have told me, I actually have to
go and do that.
Have to go and do that because it's interesting just to hear. It's like an offensive, fast-paced game, like kind of like basketball, where the offense is at the advantage and you're expected to score. So, interesting.
Offensive, depending on which team you're behind. That is definitely debatable. Come here. We wanted to get you in to sort of explain to us, so for the likes of myself who'll be heading along tomorrow, who hasn't really a clue what they're looking at. We wanted you to give us a bit of a look under the bonnet of exactly what we should be expecting. And from an Irish point of view, we love an underdog. So who should we be behind?
Northwestern then. But it's interesting because so I cover Nebraska from there. And in the last 4 years, Nebraska, just to sort of like give a quick background, in the 90s, they won 3 national championships. They were like a powerhouse right up there with like Miami and Notre Dame in the 90s. And then they had one bad coaching hire, and then like, you know how things kind of roll kind of downhill from there. And now they're trying to get back to that same precipice. They went 3-9 last year, and that like the running joke in college football media is that Nebraska was the best 3-9 team in like college football history because they lost 9 games. All were by 9 points or less. 8 of them were by one possession or less. So they're like ranked in the top 25 of the college football analytics, even though they went 3-9. So it's not as if they're just like this power or whatever, but they are the favorite on Saturday. They're 13.5 point favorites. And so if you're looking for an underdog, I go with the purple team, the Wildcats. I mean, they maybe they endear themselves to Ireland a little bit. They're wearing on their helmets, they have an N logo, and they're like they did an alternate color where like the Irish flag colors, which actually looks pretty slick if you check it out.
Well, we're suckers for that sort of stuff, so that's us signed up straight away.
So everyone's a Northwestern fan now in Ireland. So
talk to us about the just reading up about the game and the nuances of it, and the Nebraska offensive coordinator who just wants to pass, and the Northwestern defensive coordinator who has built his reputation at the Browns and the 49ers trying to stop the passing game. So it seems from everything I've read that seems to be the pivotal winning and losing of this game. Who comes out on top of that?
On top of that, I think from Nebraska's point of view, offensively, they have pretty much a new offense at every position group, new quarterback, new running backs, at least at the core, new receivers. Offensive line is a big question mark, and that's what we keep harping on is the offense. As this Nebraska offensive line goes, their offensive success will go, because there's been some injuries and some instability, suspension to one of their one of their starters before the start of the season. So that's sort of the main thing to watch. Like, can they hold up in pass protection? And some of the offensive coordinators' plays. I mean, he's a genius as far as designing like schemes to get guys open and running crossing routes and rub routes are what they're called. But that's kind of why I see this as being a low-scoring game.
Really?
Just because I was just explaining this earlier today. Nebraska has new offensive coordinator, completely new offensive staff, along with all their new personnel player-wise. They have new offensive coordinator, new offensive line coach, new receivers coach, and a new running backs coach. So the only assistant still intact is the tight ends coach, who's one of the best tight ends coaches in America. But all those new faces, it's week 0 is what they call it. It's the first game of the year. The defense is always ahead of the offense traditionally. Throw in an overseas trip to Ireland from the middle of the U.S. all the way to Ireland. So have all these different things coalescing on offense from an X's and O's football standpoint, and then add all those other extenuating factors. So that's why I'm kind of looking like it could be a defensive game. So maybe that would play in Northwestern's favor. But Nebraska also has one of the better defenses in college football last year. So just another interesting little factor all rolled into one game to start off the season.
How, like, I mean, you talk about being 13.5 favourites. I assume that there is an element of guesswork that goes into that favourites tag this early in the season, that you're week 0, and obviously with college sports there's going to be a huge turnover every single season. Is that the case where basically in week 0 you've got more chance of an upset happening when it comes to flying in the face of predictions than any other week?
Well, and especially with this one because of, like I said, the travel. I mean, both teams had to do it. So, but Northwestern was at a little bit more of a disadvantage because they got here a day late. And as I was just explaining, from personal experience, getting here a day earlier would be really nice to have the jet lag kind of dissipate, because I was supposed to get here Wednesday morning and multiple flight delays and missed connecting flights because of those delays pushed me back a whole day. So now I'm like kind of flying by the seat of my pants a little bit, and I'm like, all right, that does make a difference, even though you're not like necessarily wouldn't think of that, or you might roll your eyes like, oh, it's just one day. But Northwestern's at a slight disadvantage of that. But to get back to your question, when the odds makers make those lines, like, it's unbelievable, the process, the analytical process that goes into it. A lot of it's returning production from the previous season. So Nebraska's returning on defense, at least, one of the better front sevens, defensive line and linebackers in the conference. And you are bringing in, like, I don't know how big recruiting is in Ireland.
That doesn't happen, basically. Yeah. Well, unless you're Chemical Crokes and you're stealing some of it doesn't really happen.
Right. and then on the flip side, Northwestern's kind of one of those cyclical programs. Like 2 years ago, they were in the Big Ten, the conference championship game, and had one of their better seasons in the last decade. And then last year, I think they were 2-10, I want to say, somewhere along those lines. So it's like Northwestern's a very hard school to recruit to and get top-tier talent, so they have to develop them over the course of 2, 3, 4 years. So seems like every third, fourth year they'll have a pretty standout team. But that kind of all goes into it, traditional. But you're right, kind of on the right path there. If there's a little bit of guesswork just because it is so early. And it's like, what do we know? We don't know what we don't know.
What obviously a big chance for some of the Nebraska edge defenders, with the excitement that's around the player who's touted for future NFL in Skoronski. Who should we be looking out for? Like, if I'm there tomorrow now, give me some names and numbers here that I should be mark my card essentially. I
would go with the Nebraska side because that's what I'm obviously most familiar with. But Casey Thompson, number 11, the quarterback. There's a quarterback battle, like for who would be the starter between Casey Thompson and Chubba Purdy. They're both transfers. Casey Thompson's from Texas, Chubba Purdy's from Florida State, and sort of a battle back and forth. But it was funny because I think from the sources that I was talking to, and just in general, like the rumblings you hear, it's like, all right, this is Casey Thompson's job to lose. And then Scott Frost, their head coach, came out and said that like about 3 weeks ago. So it kind of felt like Casey was going to win that job all along. But in American football, are typically, especially these days, you're going to go as far as your quarterback will take you, and especially in an offensive system like Nebraska has under their new coordinator. So he's far and away the number one player to watch, and he's experienced from games at Texas. Like, he's put up stats, he's put up some big numbers before, but it's going to be interesting to see new environment. He had a shoulder injury, shoulder surgery in the offseason that he was kind of working his way through. So that's by far the number one thing that I'm most interested in. General fans would be most interested in, because he has an arm. I mean, he's extremely talented. Just will that kind of show itself on the field? But then after that, I mean, if we're flipping to the defensive side of the ball, Nebraska has three of the best, maybe collectively, three of the best edge rushers, like defensive ends, and Garrett Nelson, number 44, O'Shawn Mathis, number 32, and Caleb Tanner, number 2. There's been a lot of discussion, like, if these three guys all get on the field at the same time in pass rushing situations, then they could tee off and there could be some electric plays with a sack, fumble, or an interception return for a touchdown. And then Nebraska has two of the best linebackers, probably the best linebacking duo, or one of them in the Big Ten, and Luke Reimer and Nick Heinrich. So a lot of names to kind of keep track of, but if we're boiling it down to just one, to keep it simple, Casey Thompson, number 11, is the guy to keep an eye on.
Giving me enough to bluff my way through tomorrow's app. That's going to.
I was going to say, just listen back to this. Listen back to this.
I'm going to be taking notes from that. I've been to a game in Boston College before, and a game in South Bend not that long ago, and they are incredible occasions that we, as an Irish audience, really struggle to get our heads around the scale of it. But they're huge. It's obviously a monster sport in the US, and they are huge spectacles apart from anything else, aren't they?
Oh yeah, college football, it's interesting, especially in the South. Like if you're going to Alabama, Louisiana, or Mississippi, it's like a completely different world. Like LSU, it's in Louisiana State. It's like if you go down there, I think like the town population almost doubles in size on a game day just because of how many people kind of flock. It's like it's an event. And I was just actually saying that in the Uber over here to my driver. It's like college football and like just sports in general are an event, and it's like a completely different culture for college football. I was kind of curious because I've been talking about this a little bit about American football in Ireland. I mean, do you guys feel like American football has a chance of sticking here? Because I'm kind of getting the sense that no.
Oh, well, American football or college football, I guess it's two entirely different questions. I think American football has stuck already. There's a huge American football market, but it's NFL-based. I think the college game, I think the unique selling point is always going to be around the pageantry and around the colour that you have at the college games. That is unparalleled, even to a degree when you compare it with NFL teams. And I think that probably is the way of tapping into the Irish psyche, is the occasion around those college games, seeing a town completely taken over. It's almost, in a way, it's almost akin to Gaelic games here, where it's like pride of place, and it's like a town like say University of Alabama that is known for nothing other than the University of Alabama. What's the name of the town?
Tuscaloosa.
Tuscaloosa, sorry, yeah. So the only reason I've ever heard of that is because of the university and the football team, and it's just that attachment with that team, with that football team, that gives that sense of identity to the people of Tuscaloosa. That's my read on it, and I think that's quite similar to Gaelic games in a lot of small towns around Ireland. So I think that's probably the
sort of my understanding of Gaelic games and hurling was again conversation. I think Michael was the Uber driver's name, telling me that it's very, like you said, community based. Like you're in a parish growing up, and then you kind of like the best players stick with that community, that team throughout their careers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So
no, I think it's a good that comparison is a good one. And listen, I know the people are going to be turning out in their thousands tomorrow as well. So we look forward to it. Thanks a million for coming in, Zack Carpenter, and good luck with the game tomorrow. We'll see which way it goes. I'll be watching this and repeat and taking my little notes from it as well ahead of the Aer Lingus College Football Classic tomorrow. Nebraska up against Northwestern. You're watching OTB AM. Coming up in 9:20. Good morning to you wherever it is you're at this morning. We're brought to you live each morning by Gillette Labs for an effortless finish to your day. We are about to wrap the programme. It's going to be emotional, but it's also going to be pretty epic because it's a live crappy quiz, and it's coming up after Keith Tracy in conversation Richie McCormick last night on Eddie Howe's management career.
If you do win the ball against them, they are wide open. So the ball to St. Maximin getting in a foot race with Kyle Walker, you can understand why Kyle would be terrified, because he's so electric. And the hard thing about Alan St. Maximin is I don't think even he knows what he's going to do when he gets the ball. So how Kyle Walker can know what he's going to do when he gets the ball is really, really difficult. But look, I enjoyed the game. I thought it was excellent. I think Pep Guardiola's interview was excellent after, when he said, don't worry about the draw. Did you enjoy the game? Is that not enough? Because, I've been in dressing rooms with Eddie Howe before, and I did think at the time when he came into Burnley, he was 33. I did think he was a little bit naive, because he would go toe-to-toe with anybody. Even when we play teams in the Premier League and in cup competitions, he would go toe-to-toe with anybody. And I did think it was a bit naive, but with this Newcastle squad, he seems to got everybody right on side. And when the Geordies get St. James's bouncing, even teams like Manchester City will struggle there. So I think Newcastle are on the up. I think they're going to be great, but City, I think it's a draw, but I think a lot of big teams will struggle to go to St. James's this year.
The Howe thing is interesting. Like, the age at which he started, and was like, you can start being a coach at kind of any age, I guess, but being in charge of league teams, football league teams, at the age that he was in his early 30s at 33, was it difficult for certain elements of a dressing room to kind of accept that somebody at that age was their manager, or was that a non-issue? Was it just an experience thing, or how was he received when you were at Burnley at that stage?
Yeah, his age was definitely an issue, Richie, at the start, I have to be honest. And it was little things, I can give you, examples of things that players didn't like, and it will just seem like, total nothingness. How could somebody get offended by that? And football is a totally different world. And, Eddie Howe I think he was 33 when he got the Burnley job, and I don't think he was the best man manager in the world. He definitely wasn't the best man manager in the world with me, but there was players that were, the likes of Dean Marney, Michael Duff, players that were a little bit older than me. I think they were in around the same age as Eddie Howe, but Eddie would call them son and stuff like that. It just didn't go down well with the older lads. And I know in the real world, that's nothing, but it just started to grate on players, and everything was play out from the back. We had Lee Grant in goal, and he wouldn't be comfortable passing out in the back at certain times, so we would go long and Eddie would be shouting on to play, and we ended up with just little disjoints in the team. Half the boys that were a little bit braver would be trying to force the play, and other boys that were a little bit shyer and tough more would be trying to come away from it. So he never quite got everybody on the same way of thinking. But look, I think with Newcastle, like I say, when you get the Geordies on side, which with some of the signings, 200 million in 2 transfer windows, if you can't get people on side with that, then I don't think you ever will.
OTB AM on OTB Sports Radio, Ireland's first and only sports radio station. Off the ball.
Jamie caught Frank with quite a bad challenge, and the physio's patching him up, and Les Seeley has turned to Frank. He went, "Frank, get back on and do him good and proper." He said he took a liberty there. He said, "Make sure you leave it on him good and proper." And I'm stood there, I'm thinking, oh, hang on, he's talking about him doing this ain't right,
Off the ball. Weeknights from 7 and weekends from 1.
This is OTB Sports Radio, live 24/7 on the OTB Sports app.
If your business relies on a van, that wouldn't sound good, but this does. Get up to 75% off van insurance. Now available in FBD branches nationwide. FBD Insurance. Support. It's what we do. 75% no claims discount based on 5 years claims free. Available on new van policies used for farm or business purposes. Terms and conditions apply. Underwritten by FBD Insurance plc. FBD Insurance Group Limited, trading as FBD Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
OTB AM
with Gillette. Get into your flow with the new Gillette Labs Razor with exfoliating bar.
Chris Waddle.
Oh, you're kidding me. September. Kyle Lafferty.
Are you joking me?
Is that right?
I know, it's not right.
Anybody else? Leash, was it?
Like, that is one of the most stupid questions.
Darius Vassell?
Seriously, you all need to just stay quiet. This is getting really annoying doing this quiz.
What is going on here?
Welcome along to the shoutiest segment on Irish radio. It's the scintillating, it's the stupefying, it's the splendido crappy quiz. Was that a bit emotional for you?
Yeah.
Emotional, like?
Yeah.
Was it?
It is, yeah.
Every Friday we put 3 of Team Off the Ball up against each other in our no-holds-barred quiz of sporting factoids at the end of the week. And allow me to welcome, this is just the most remarkable of days to be in a position where Shane is amongst the contestants. Really is
What a
incredible.
day.
And I'm going to introduce our contestants for you now. For everybody who's listening, our first contestant insisted that he be here this morning to give Eoin his final quiz send-off and his favourite of all the weekdays. He's also insisting they be given a seat at the hallowed altar of the football pod, where he can lay claim to all of his recent theories, like Jack O'Connor was destined to win Sam in 2022, no matter which of the great counties he was managing. And if just Shane Walsh, the Cliffords, Rian O'Neill and Stephen Cluxton around 2019 could be parachuted into this Kildare team, they can end the great 94-year famine. Give it up for the tyrant, Ger Gilroy.
Are you not writing the intros anymore, Owen? Is that
Mine are
snappy? That was snappy.
That actually is just like, when I heard that, I was like, it sounds remarkably like something I would write. It's long,
Well, that's the
drawn
biggest
out.
compliment that I could. All right, sorry.
Yeah.
Our next contestant is also muscled in on the I'm considering my life choices buzz, where once his internal monologue frothed over whether Conor McManus or Nudie Hughes was the greatest gift to life as we know it, whether after all that he was more Jimmy McGill or Saul Goodman. Now he spends his time plotting to overthrow Oliver Callan as the greatest living mind on the time and works of Patrick Kavanagh. It's the Monaghan Machete, Shane Hannon.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Owen, on your last day. Very emotional.
The radio
moment.
listeners, you should explain. Everybody should explain.
There is
You're right there behind the shades there, Shane.
There is a pair of sunglasses this morning, folks, and they will be staying put. I was in Ryan's of Camden Street after Owen's. So I joined the Kerry Mafia. I was the only person from Off the Ball who partook in the after party.
Ah,
So
right.
yeah, so I'm feeling a wee bit testy today, but it's okay. The sunglasses help.
What time do they legally serve to?
I thought like half two.
I don't know, but I was there until about 4.
Yeah, it could have been any time, Ger, to be honest. But yeah, it was a great night's crack with the Kerry Mafia. Owen very wisely had gone to bed.
Sound rough.
Yeah, the voice is a
You
bit
can't
gravelly.
mask it.
Yeah, I'm going for that. I don't know what.
For a group who believe in omerta, they're curiously public about the fact that they're a mafia.
No, there is no mafia. You were just talking to actors.
Yes, yeah.
They're not real.
The fake Kerry Mafia, of course.
Our final contestant is here by popular demand. He was literally voted in last week on a poll. He's preparing for the biggest bonfire the island has seen so far this year, decluttering, and he's piled high all of his McGrath Cup programmes for the last 20 years. His DVDs of the All-Ireland finals in 97, 2000, 04, 07, 14 and 22. That pair of Jack O'Shea All-Ireland worn jocks that he bought at auction, and even his Kerry Mafia badge and gun have all been piled high as he prepares to jet out of Farm 4 next week. What's rare is beautiful. Give it up for the fiery starter, the twisted fiery starter, Owen Shane.
Nice. Thank you, Adrian. That was a nice intro. I'm going to clap myself, yeah.
It's just emotional. Are you nervous about being... I was a bit sort of edgy last week about hosting. Are you edgy?
I'm not nervous whatsoever because I know what's going to happen here. I'm going to get absolutely screwed over, and that's fine. You need to have your moment in the sun. Everybody needs to laugh at me, and I get it. I'm the heel. I'm the clown.
Yeah, we have to let him win.
I'm the...
That's going to let you win on you. Even you can't screw up.
I'm the... This is just going to... This is supposed to end badly for me, so I get it. I accept it.
You'll always have the poem, Owen. You'll always have the
Judgment Day is here, and the second coming of Jesus Christ has arrived, and he has decided that, no, I am not getting into the pearly gates today.
There's going to be a lot of Wolfsburg and Wolfsburger questions.
I hope so.
As ever, the format is the classic crappy quiz. We're making no exceptions today with a series of questions on a range of themes, and then it's on to the slip and slide of trivia, as you know, the rapid fire round. Podcast the crappy quiz on OTBSports.com. It's on the OTB Sports app, and if you're watching on YouTube, please do make sure to click the thumbs up, and if we continue nothing but misery to your day, do that and recommend it to a friend.
Was there something about a game? One of the Kerry Mafia wanted me to do a round of questions about you, to you. Was there something about the game in 2014 in Tyrone? Was there something?
2014 in Tyrone?
Yeah.
Oh, unrelated.
Yeah.
What would have happened in 2014 in Tyrone?
I don't know. Or maybe 15.
15 in Tyrone.
The night was getting away from us. Anyway.
I don't remember.
Now more than ever, we need you to send in your questions because Owen is leaving and we've nobody else to write the quiz. So send a postcard to Crappy Quiz Quizmaster, Off the Ball Towers, Marconi House, Diggs Lane, Dublin 2, and we are welcoming all of those. We're going to kick off with the boring questions round if everybody's ready. These are never multiple choice. We're going to start off with you, Shane. Question 1 for you. Who's the oldest player to score a Premier League goal?
Oh, for God's sake, this is a ridiculous question. This is so easy.
This is for me, as both Shane or Shane.
No.
Who are you being there on?
I'm going to call you Shane, and I'm going to call him Owen.
Owen.
Yeah.
Oldest Premier League player to score a Premier League.
Oh, come on, get out with it. Come on. Ridiculous question.
I mean, at least working.
It's nice to be on the other side, Owen, isn't it?
You should pick a character and stick to it. Go on.
I'm just a generic crappy quiz contestant.
Who's the oldest Premier League player?
Life is terrible.
I mean, in fairness. Come on, Shane.
I'm going to finish on minus points this morning, just so everyone's aware. Dennis Wise.
Ridiculous.
Do you know the answer, Owen?
It's not my question, is it? James Milner?
Anybody? No.
Gareth Barry?
No. Anybody? Jared being your wheelhouse. Teddy Sheringham at the age of 40. Question 1 for you, Jared. Can you name the last Cork club to win the Munster Club Hurling Championship? Last Cork club to win the Munster Club Hurling Championship.
Has there been anybody since Tom Chandram? Has there been anybody? Newtown Chandram.
Pronunciations will be accepted. Newtown Chandram beat Ballygunner in 2009. Jared's off the mark. Question 1 for you, Owen. Katie Taylor's most recent opponent in the pro ranks was Amanda Serrano, who she beat at Madison Square Garden, of course, earlier this year. But can you name all of Kerry's All-Ireland winning managers since and including 2000?
Oh, come on!
All of their All-Ireland winning managers?
Yes, since and including 2000.
Paddy O'Shea, Jack O'Connor, Pat O'Shea, Eamon Fitzmaurice.
Ding, ding, ding.
Come on.
That was such a challenging question.
You see it's fixed. We see it's fixed. I mean, not even a bit of jeopardy for the people who...
Oh, no, listen, there was a challenge. There was a challenge there, and he stood up to the challenge. After round 1, we have Shane on 0 points and Jared and Owen leading the way.
We should combine our forces here just to ruin this, because this is too easy. It's too much of a stitch-up.
It's just a nice little...
It's too much of a stitch-up.
Now, into round 2, the Wikipedia list round. This game is simple. I'm going to list from Wikipedia.
The fun free magic numbers round. What age is Owen Sheehan? What date is his birthday? How old are his parents?
Various facts about an unnamed sports person. Your job is to guess who that unnamed sports person is. So the first person to correctly do that was going to win the point. One major rule here, as you're aware, to avoid the complete carnage of guessing a guessing free-for-all, each contestant must state their own nickname before guessing a player. This is Crappy Quiz, so your names are your Crappy Quiz nicknames: Monaghan Machete, a Tyrant, and the Fiery Starter, the Twisted Fiery Starter.
He's got to do the double barrel one.
What is what?
What does that even mean?
What does what mean?
There's a lot of syllables in Monaghan Machete. Like, the time it's going to take me to say that.
Anyway, all good.
You have to say Fiery Starter, the Twisted Fiery Starter.
I don't know. That's what's your question about your nickname?
I don't get it.
I am the fire starter. It's Prodigy
song.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus, Owen, somebody as cultured now as yourself who like
Usyk man like yourself.
Hey man, have you heard of Fred again? It's like I don't even know who?
Wolfsburger.
I'm suddenly questioning the last 7 years of our work together.
He's a bit pissed.
If somebody could manage Shane's mic outside, that would help.
It's not the last time I'm going to say it probably either.
Failure to shout your nickname is going to eliminate you from that particular round of the quiz.
So you're going to...
I'm going to give you one clue, okay? And it's about an unidentified sports person. And with each clue, you have an opportunity to shout out your nickname and guess who that might be.
Yeah. And can we do...
You can guess as many times as you want.
Okay.
Just a sports person.
You can guess as many times as you want overall, but one guess per clue. Make sense? You've obviously watched a lot of the Crappy Quiz recently, Jer.
That is the way.
Right, question 2 for whoever shouts their nickname first. Clue 1. He was born May 16th, 1955.
A Tyrant, Paddy O'Shea.
Wow.
Correct. Right?
May 16th.
This is not how this quiz is supposed to go, Jerry.
May 16th.
If you can play
all
ball
the greats. It's my birthday.
Well, that explains it.
Spanner in the works.
I'm out of here.
Spanner in the works.
I'm out of here.
Just give him the quiz.
Can we review these questions?
I shouldn't have told you that it was my birthday because that was the giveaway. I'm like, hang on a second. This is one or two people.
You just said that was the information that's sat in your memory bank.
Right,
come on, Jared, you're off the...
Same year as well.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Very impressed. We're off the mark there.
We're starting to feel my role as a contestant here.
Nick felt last week when he guessed Ashley Young after the first clue that I didn't give him enough credit, so well done, Jared. Well
done, Jared. That was a good answer. Yeah.
Question 2 for whoever shouts their nickname first. He is Kerry's all-time top scorer in National Football League history.
Tyrant, Mick O'Dwyer.
Oh my God. Owen, are you alive over there? Yet another one.
There you go. Well, that was obvious.
I mean, not to these two. I mean, I know he's asleep, but like, what's happening over here?
Miko didn't get the credit as a footballer.
Quick motion, quick skills. This is not going to work for me.
Not in your wheelhouse.
No, this isn't in my wheelhouse here at all.
I haven't got a question incorrect yet.
Right, question 2.
What is Owen's middle name?
For whoever shouts their nickname first. His autobiography is entitled A Kerry Footballer.
Monaghan Machete.
Yeah.
Morris Fitz.
No. Fair play though for
the Twisted Fiery Starter.
Yeah.
Pats Balan.
No. He played club football for 25 years.
A Tyrant, Jack O'Shea.
Incorrect. When he won the first of his 4 All-Ireland medals, it ended what had been a 4-year famine.
A tyrant, Tomás O'Shea.
Incorrect. He was named midfield in the GAA's Team of the Century.
It's the fiery starter, Mick O'Connell.
Correct. At last, Owen, for Jesus Christ. I like
Stop with it. This will have a rebroadcast on the radio if you swear.
Sorry, I'll stop swearing. Well done, Owen. Fair play.
Thank you.
Good on you for turning up.
That was, Mick O'Connell, there were some other things you could have said about Mick O and his relationship with this show.
Well, after that, it was
for future reference.
I was going to mention Anton Deck. I was going to say he was from Valencia. That was my last one. So anyway, we got there. We didn't need all of that. We got there in the end. So well done, Jared. Fair play. You've actually turned up today, unlike Hannon, who's drunk and fast asleep in the corner there. Jared's leading the way on 3 points. Owen's on 2 points, and Hannon has yet to get off the mark. So on to the round 3, pass the parcel of doom round. And in this round, all you've got to do is give me the name that's on a list of names that I have here in front of me. The parcel of doom passes on to the next contestant, who also has to give me a name, and we'll keep moving through the list until one of you gives me an incorrect answer.
How do you think
or passes, at which point that person will be eliminated.
Audition is going on, and you're free now.
There's a point in this about
this
it.
Is
We
your
don't
last
need to-
ever,
we don't need to give them
your last ever show with Adrian, so you can tell the truth. How do you think this audition is going?
When
I'm really enjoying this.
When 2 players are eliminated, the remaining player gains a point. Everybody clear about how the pass? Shane, Ger, Owen is the order for the first way we're going to go here. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Can you name any Kerry All-Ireland winning captain?
For God's sake,
starting from and including 1975. Any Kerry All-Ireland winning captain starting from and including 1975. There are 15 options here.
This is like cheapening the quiz, what you're doing.
I'm fairly certain the quiz could not be cheapened any further.
You said
At least no, absolutely.
Brie, yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Starting with me.
It's like my puppy is being murdered in front of my eyes here.
And you're doing nothing to intervene, it turns out, on. So, Shane, come on.
Jesus. Darren O'Sullivan.
Correct.
Declan O'Sullivan.
Correct.
Sean O'Shea.
Correct. Shane. I know you're scribbling, like, are you just drawing little doodles on the page?
Basically just signing my signature here.
Writing poetry.
Shane Ryan?
Who's Shane Ryan? I said Kerry All-Ireland winning captain.
Colin Cooper.
That's me gone, is it?
Yeah. That is absolutely you gone. Colin Cooper is not correct.
Not correct, no. It was
easy win for Owen.
Could you go the full...
Kieran O'Leary and Fionn Fitzgerald, wasn't it?
Yeah, Fionn Fitzgerald as well.
75, so you would have had Spillane after 75, obviously. You would have had Paudy after 75. You would have had Seamus Moynihan.
Spillane...
No?
Is not here, no.
Oh my God, that would have been the next one.
No, you'd have been out.
No, I wouldn't. I was going to go Moynihan next.
Moynihan,
you would have been all right.
Safe territory.
Yeah, fine. Yeah.
04 on.
O'Canada.
Yeah. Liam Hassett, Tommy Doyle, Paddy, Ambrose Donovan, Jimmy Deanan, Ger Power, Tim Kennelly, Ogie, and Mickey Ned.
Yes.
In 75. So the point there goes to Owen, come on.
Soccer, yeah. Owen gets
We're getting back on track here now.
The Kerry,
feel a bit more comfortable.
The fix is in, ladies and gentlemen. The fix is in. There is no jeopardy here.
Right, this order now is Ger, Owen, Shane, Hannon. And the question is, there are 12 teams in Division 1 of the Kerry Senior Football Championship.
For God's sake.
Name them. And I'm not looking for amalgamated teams here. I'm looking for actual club teams. So don't be giving me any of your old guff,
12 club teams.
In the Division 1 of the Kerry Senior Football Championship. I've no idea whether this relates to 2022 or 2023.
I might start tanking here, lads, because this is...
Cairns O'Reilly's.
Yeah.
Me next.
Yeah.
Crokes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jesus Christ. Is he all right?
I have a number of teams written down, but how am I supposed to know if these are like...
Well, I'd say just take your...
Lawn Rangers.
Lawn Rangers are not in Division 1 of the Kerry Senior Football Championship.
Austin Stacks.
Austin Stacks. My go.
To be fair, he's right. Austin Stacks for you, Ger. Owen.
Fuck's sake.
Oh, brilliant.
Spa.
Yeah, is that how they're pronounced?
Yeah.
Wow.
Leave me alone.
Sure they are. Right, Ger.
I'm not going to get one of these wrong.
There's a couple of really obvious options here now, but anyway, look.
Jesus, lads.
So what do we got? We got Cairns O'Reilly's. We've got...
Stacks are done. Dr. Croak's done. Spa are done. Cairns O'Reilly's.
Spa, you're out.
I still have a list in front of me. Actually, yeah, good point. That's what I have done.
It's literally just a load of scribbles. It's like,
if you can read my writing.
None of them are senior. Foss aren't senior, and Dingle aren't senior. On Gaeltacht.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh,
look at him shaking his head.
Kenmare.
Correct.
Who does James Donahue play for?
I mean, I don't know what I'm going to take a loose stance to conferring here, and I'm going to allow it given the.
Do we do
the
stacks?
tone of the quiz.
Is stacks? Have we done stacks?
Stacks are done. Yeah.
Okay. That club there, but they can be intermediate now.
Who does James Donahue play for?
I'm going to say Fossa, but I know it's not right.
You are correct. It is not right. I mean, just you've got the point in the bag.
Nagale, Dingle.
Dingle are senior club.
Are they?
Yeah.
I should have said it.
Legion was James's club, but they're not. They're not senior.
Yeah, Killarney Legion.
They're not senior, are they?
Well, they're in Division 1 of the Kerry Senior Football Championship.
It's County League.
Well, I don't know what it is, but that's what it is. It's according to the Kerry GA website. That's another point for you, Owen. You're really beginning to assert your dominance here in this specific area.
This is actually the most embarrassing thing I've ever been involved in.
Question 3 for you. It's going to start with you, Owen, and then it's going to move on to you, Hannon, and you'll be out at that point, and then it'll move on to Ger after that. So this one is a list of 25 names. It's Kerry Football All-Stars since and including 2009.
Oh, Jesus.
Famous year, 2009. Kerry All-Stars since and including 2009. Owen, Hannon, Ger.
And should we go with Gooch anyway?
Yeah.
I give up, lads. Since 2009, Kerry All-Stars, James O'Donoghue.
Yeah.
I am going to go with... So you've got Gooch, James O'Donoghue. I'm going to go with since 2009 and including 2009.
Yeah.
So Tomas.
Yeah, in 2009.
David Clifford.
3 All-Stars, David Clifford, yeah.
Sean O'Shea.
19, yeah.
I'm going to go with Stephen O'Brien.
No, Stephen O'Brien is not on the list.
Paddy Clifford.
Correct, 21. Somebody wake Shane up there and tell him he's still in the mix.
Tom O'Sullivan?
Tom O'Sullivan. Current Tom O'Sullivan.
Yeah, he just said Thomas Sullivan.
Current Tom O'Sullivan is on the list, Shane, yeah.
Okay, very good.
Is the old Thomas Sullivan still not... Did he not get more online?
You're out, Jared, I don't know.
Donaghy.
Yeah.
Tom O'Sullivan?
The old one?
Yeah.
Come on, you're in, yeah. He got one in 2009.
Brendan Keeley got an All-Star.
He did in 15.
Jesus. Ty Kennelly?
Ty Kennelly got one in 2009, Shane. Yeah, good man. He's sitting uncomfortably now. All this smack talk about the shittiest thing he's ever been involved in, and suddenly he's like... Mark O'Shea got one in 11, yeah. You're doing well, lads. There's...
Did we say Darragh O'Shea yet? I'm just checking if we said it.
We didn't. I said Tomas.
Darragh O'Shea has not been said.
But I'd say Darragh was gone by.
I'll allow the conferring. That's fine.
Okay, yeah. I'm not going to go with Darragh. I was just talking out loud there. Go for Crowley. I'd go for Crowley maybe.
What's his first name?
No, it's none of your business.
No, I'll accept Crowley. Peter Crowley in 14.
Peter, centre back.
Peter. Jeez, yeah.
Paul Murphy.
In 14, yeah.
You're gonna have to try Darragh. I think he's gone.
Yeah.
Blackboard jungle levels of conferring now.
It's gonna be Darragh O'Shea. Go on.
Darragh O'Shea, you're saying? Darragh O'Shea is incorrect.
We knew it.
Give it a good
I'd say you were on your uppers there, close enough, were you?
No, I did a couple more.
Go on.
Moore and Maher both got them, I think.
Anthony Maher, 15.
I didn't have a hope. You were just teasing me.
I forgot about Moran.
Paul Gainey.
Gainey, of course.
Donegal Walsh. Shane Enright. Darren O'Sullivan. Brian Sheehan. Declan O'Sullivan. I couldn't believe that you didn't.
We said them both earlier.
Yeah. Paul Galvin. Seamus Scanlon and Dermot Murphy.
Yeah, I won them after 2009, right?
So, and you got 3 points there. Well done.
That's a shocker. Only got 3 points.
That's hauled you into the lead. You're on 5 points now, so well done. Fair play. That's
Is he not on
3
4?
points to the top there. No, 3 points to add to his 2 points brings him to 5 points. You remain on 3 points, and Hannon, who's when he wakes up, we'll tell him he's still on 0 points. Right. We are on to round 4. This is the shirt numbers round. It's another new and innovative.
God, this quiz is long.
And this round, I'm going to give you the name of a sports person and a team that they played for. All you have to do is give me their shirt number.
I wonder what county this will
Question 4 for you, Shane. I'm looking for the number that Gianluigi Donnarumma wore in the AC Milan years. This is your best chance to get off the mark here.
Throw me a curveball there. The non-carry question. Donnarumma. 88.
There's an incorrect. No, I'm asking Shane what. That's incorrect. 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 It was 99, so there was something in your wheelhouse there that was
11 off.
Question 4 for you, Ger. The number Peyton Manning wore for the Denver Broncos.
On balls.
Chance to tighten the gap here.
Come on, you can do it.
Put the pressure on.
There's a famous line where they're at training and they're like, why do we never train with the backup QB? And the line is, well, because if we have to play with the backup QB, we're fucked. If we don't practice, fucked. Apologies for the beats.
Jeez, I mean, the line.
Just is not going on.
I was reporting that. It was not actually me saying that. I'm going to say Peyton Manning is 14.
You stay on 3 points.
What was his number?
18 was the answer. Question 4 for you, Owen. Ice hockey is one of the biggest sports in the US, as we know. Wayne Gretzky, of course, one of the most famous players that the game has known. What number shirt did Colin Cooper wear in his last All-Ireland final appearance? The ill-fated 2015 final against
69.
This is ridiculous.
420.
This is a farce.
Oh, it's got to take his answer. First answer only.
I mean, to be fair, it's not a 1 yard tap in.
Oh yeah, because he played at 11 for a while, but did he play at 13? Did he go back into corner 4 for 15?
It's a 50-50 shout.
13.
Ding, ding, ding. Go man on. Fair play. The only one who got the numbers wrong.
This
right.
is embarrassing. What was Wayne Gretzky's number?
Just a wide breadth of sporting knowledge, really, that's allowing me to succeed today.
Someone in the YouTube comments tell us what Wayne Gretzky's number is.
Would you have known Wayne Gretzky's number?
Not the point of the question.
Wayne Gretzky's number is 100 because he said you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
Excellent.
Round number 5, the fun free magic number. Uncontested get 3 points for getting the number exactly right. If no one manages that, the nearest contestant who doesn't get go bust gets 2 points, and the second closest get 1 point. Again, I'm going to say that we can only accept the answer that is written on the page in front of you. I'm also going to have to ask for your pens once the music ends.
That's going to be your icebreaker when you get to
happy?
Peru, isn't it? Did you know that Wayne Gretzky said you miss 100% of the shot? And like after that,
what are you saying?
The gates will open for you.
It's already my icebreaker.
It'll be all gooch chat. Here we go. So, if you don't mind, give us the following number. The number of Kerry's All-Ireland football titles plus... Are you still drawing pictures over there?
Yeah, just painting here.
The number of All-Irelands won by the great Declan O'Sullivan plus the number of Kerry's All-Ireland senior hurling titles plus the number of Celtic League / Pro 12, 14, 16 / URC titles that Munster have won. Your 30 seconds will expire when Sinatra sings Bright Shiny Beads. And just to recap, Kerry's number of total All-Ireland titles in football, number of All-Irelands won by the great Declan O'Sullivan, total number of Kerry County senior hurling titles. I mean,
All-Ireland
the
senior.
Carties, essentially, or whatever predated that they win. And Munster's Celtic wins.
Owen has the pen down already.
/ URC.
This is a farce, by the way.
Everybody has the pens down. Shane, what have you got?
I've gone for 48.
48, Shane. Ger.
43.
43, Ger. Owen.
50.
50 for Ger. 50 for Owen, I should say. So 2 of you are bust. And Ger gets the... What do you get for that? How many points does he get for that, Owen?
2.
2 points for that, which brings him right back into the mixer here. So I don't know exactly where you were going with all of that there, lads. But
You tell us your answers there.
Yeah, Kerry All-Ireland football titles.
38.
Declan O'Sullivan.
5.
Hurling.
1.
Munster.
6.
1.
What?
Munster.
1.
How many have they won?
Yeah.
1.
No. 3. So I don't know where you were going with the
I got
rest
3
of
of them right, and I still went bust.
What was the number? What was the answer?
47 was the answer, sorry.
There's one off.
I'm not just doing this. Right, well, that leaves us in a fairly interesting position that I didn't really expect us to be in as we head into the final round. Because Owen and Shane have not really turned up.
No.
And Ger is shooting the lights out.
I got 3 of those numbers right.
Is Owen on the lead, no?
He is in the lead. He is in the lead. No, he is. Owen starts and I mean,
what's the score?
I've had to re-engineer this either way if it wasn't the case, but he is just slightly ahead. He's on 6 points. You're on 5 points.
I thought he's on 5.
Owen,
I just sit back here.
And Shane is on.
Hold on to News Talk any minute now, I think.
Shane is on 0
Well, they can
points.
wait.
A winner tonight is going to be decided in the no team in particular ridiculously easy rapid fire round. The score that you get in this round is going to be added to the score in the previous round. 40 seconds for everyone to answer from the same set of questions. We're going to start with the person with the highest number of points that you own, then on to the person second, Ger, and then we'll wake Shane up at the end and tell him that it's all over and he's been beaten. And if you get a question correct, I'm going to ask you another question. Keep asking questions, get one wrong, and once you get a question wrong, we'll on to the next person. Your incorrect answer will also mean the deduction of 1 point. Right. Owen, are you ready?
I am so ready.
You're ready for this. Your 40 seconds starts now. Which former Kerry footballer went on to play for Munster in Ireland?
Mick Galway.
Which recently retired TV pundit has the most football All-Stars?
Pat Spillane.
Who is the only person to have won an All-Ireland title and an AFL Premiership?
Tig Kennelly.
The infamous Irish priest Damon Casey was born in which beautiful Irish village?
Actually don't know.
You're from there.
Fireys.
Radio Kerry's marquee GAA show is called?
What's that again?
Radio Kerry's marquee GAA show is
Talk.
Name the Irish competitor who finished 9th in the marathon at the LA Games in 1984.
Jerry Kiernan.
I have some more questions there in the back of the sheet. Name either of Kerry Women's joint managers.
Name any of what?
Either of Kerry Women's joint managers.
Declan Quill.
Neil Murray is from Tralee or Dingle?
Dingle.
That is a full sweep of correct answers.
Well done, Owen Shane.
The rapid fire.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Yay.
13 points yet.
Well earned. That I know a lot about all sports.
Owen, it's been an emotional 7 years.
Yeah, I'm being waved out of here.
Beautiful human being.
Yeah, they can wait.
Congrats.
They didn't show up to your drinks last night.
Yeah. No, they really didn't.
He wants to leave on a high. You can't let Pat down. We understand that.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Thanks a million. Really enjoyed it. Good luck with your travels. We have another few days to work together, so let's not get too emotional. Well done and winning the crappy quiz.
Yeah, no, thanks very much.
We were supposed to get like maximum points from the entire thing. I engineered it. If you can't tell.
Crappy quiz will be back in its normal state soon.
It won't. That's the reality in some sort of shape or form. Right.
Quiz questions.
Oh, and you go on. You get out of there while I wrap up things here. You've been watching OTB AM over the last couple of hours. Thanks a million for coming in, and lads, thanks for you.
Anytime.
Shane, back to the lab. What's the plan for the rest of the day?
Lab, exactly. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Do a bit of work and get out of here and put the sunglasses on the shelf where they belong.
I'm just glad that because you were originally due to come in and do a Formula 1 slot, and I'm just glad for you now that for our viewers.
for everyone's sake.
Cars go vroom.
Yeah. You all missed Nathan Murphy as well, giving it socks to the Kerry Mafia last night when you all left.
Really?
Giving it large green and red. Mayo, it was a soft All Ireland, I think he called it, for Kerry this year, and that really antagonised.
That's nothing. They love that the most.
It was fantastic.
You've been watching OTBAM, brought to you live each morning by Gillette Labs for an effortless finish to your day. Stacked programmes across the day, of course, on OTB and on Sports Radio, and the lads will be back again 7:30 on Monday morning. Good luck.
I'm going to put these words to you, these wonderfully florid, well-written words, Raphael, and see if you recognise them, not only in certain tone, but who may have written them. Media debates have honed in on the most readily available numbers, the poor goal-scoring return despite creating a wealth of chances, and a series of defensive blackouts by seasoned pros on the other end of the pitch. But blaming the for and against columns as the causes for the malaise is a bit like blaming a fever on a patient's high temperature. Do you know who wrote that?
It does sound familiar.
Yeah, this is from 2014-2015 in Jurgen Klopp's what turned out to be his final season at Borussia Dortmund, when I guess the bloom had come off the rose to a certain degree by dint of a really horrific spell prior to Christmas and in around the New Year as well, whereby they slumped into the relegation zone in the Bundesliga. Now, obviously, we're a long ways away from Liverpool being in real trouble. Here is Borussia Dortmund were in that particular season, but there have been parallels drawn, obviously enough, between the two seasons. The coincidences of selling major strikers, the Bayern Munich factor and all of that as well, and just the general lack of, I don't know, oomph that there seems to be about Liverpool so far this season. What have you made of these first three games, first of all, and the lapse there seems to have been from last term?
Well, I think the three games didn't really have that much in common. I think Liverpool did enough to win at least two of them. I think they probably did enough to draw the third, and then we'd be having a different conversation. But of course, this is a team that thrives off energy, that lives off energy. And if the energy is a little bit low, if players are having to be played who in a normal season or under normal circumstances would probably be your first choice subs rather than first choice starters, especially midfield, then the overall quality suffers. And I think then looking at the bench when United have, I think, 300 million euros or pounds worth of players on the bench, and Liverpool had mostly youngsters and centre-backs, that shows you that right now they're going through a lean spell, not so much, I think, in terms of the overall picture and things are being manifestly wrong or fundamentally problematic with this team, but in terms of the numbers and players available. And I think that is the biggest problem. A Liverpool team, a Klopp team that doesn't rotate, that doesn't have options off the bench, that doesn't have that energy from the start or being injected, having injected that energy at later times during the game, that team will suffer. And I think that's what we've seen so far.
Are there many parallels, do you think, like you would have watched on that 2014-15 season for Dortmund? Are there many parallels in terms of, I know the results, the performances are kind of three separate performances, but in terms of that lowering in energy, there seems to have been a bit of that, and I think the game against Manchester United can bear that out a little bit and underline that point, because it didn't seem like the same Liverpool that we've seen for the past 4 or 5 seasons, really.
It didn't. I think there's some similarities. It is the 7th season. Maybe that's a coincidence. I don't know. But things have been very good for a long time. And now it looks as if this could be not as good a season. But I would caution against that. I think that's way too early. And, of course, the number of injuries. In that season that you mentioned, 14-15, injuries were one of the huge issues for this team. They had a lot of players injured. And at the time, there was a lot of debate about Jurgen Klopp's system being perhaps a little bit too demanding, and that's why he has all these injured players. He very much argued against it. And I think if we look at the 7 years on the whole, then you would be struggling to find any correlation, I think, between Liverpool's system and their number of injuries. It seems to fluctuate with no real pattern as far as I can ascertain. But what is very different is the overall picture. I mean, this was a Dortmund team that had gone through an entire cycle of players who'd won things, and a lot of them had either moved on or come sort of towards the latter stages of their career. And that rebuilding process that was necessary wasn't really possible because Dortmund weren't in the Champions League the year when he left. Eventually, they missed the Champions League. So there was a sort of an understanding that in order to rebuild this team, to find a transition into the next team, the coach had to go, because that was the easiest button to push at the time. I think Liverpool are a million miles away from that. I think the transition has already happened to a large extent. This is already the next Liverpool. I think all the pieces are in place for another really successful team. I think going into the season, very few anticipated any major problems because there was so much depth in so many positions. It just happens that a lot of injuries have caught up with them at the very same time, and now they're very thin in some key positions. But I think it can't really be compared beyond superficial similarities to what happened at Dortmund.
On a slightly more granular level, there have been questions asked about the refreshing of the midfield, in particular Liverpool, because they started at Old Trafford with James Milner and with Jordan Henderson, both of whom are well north of 30 now at this stage. Thiago is in around that age too, and he has become very, very injury prone. They will be two of the three main dependents for Klopp in the midfield in the past couple of years. There seems to have been, even looking at how successful they would have been the last 2-3 seasons, that the midfield was in need of a bit of a refresh, and that doesn't seem to have happened. But he can be a manager who's a bit obstinate in his ways. If he decides in his head that something doesn't need doing or something does need doing, then he will stick by that. And they have been quite adamant that they're not going to do any more business in midfield, especially this summer.
He opened the door ever so slightly after the game, I thought, where he said, I'm the wrong person to ask. We're always working on things, whether we can make them happen or not, I'm not sure. He seemed to at least suggest to me that it's not impossible that they might do something, perhaps something a little bit more knee-jerk and more short-term than they want to do. We saw that 2 seasons ago when they had to buy centre-backs because they had this crazy wave of people injured all in the same position, and they brought in a player, I should say, on loan, who perhaps wasn't quite ready and who's since been moved on. But I think something like that is possible. I think what's important to understand, and I got this from talking to both Klopp and his number 2 many times over the course of researching the book and updates for it, is that they will often prefer not to buy someone who they think is just another body. I think from the outside looking in, we always think of transfers as improvements, as reinforcements, as adding numbers. And I think Klopp and Pete Kravitz and everyone else thinks that every transfer changes things, and they might not change things for the better. So you have to be really sure that the person that you bring in can improve the team, is the right character, ticks all the boxes. I think Liverpool were quite far advanced with 1 or 2 players in the transfer market that it didn't work out. Tchouaméni, for example, somebody who went to Real Madrid, was definitely high on Liverpool's agenda a few months ago, and yet it couldn't make it happen. And I can easily see why they will say, well, there's not another Tchouaméni now ready to come in August. We'd rather wait, give this 1 more year, and then buy a next target who might be Jude Bellingham, who knows. But that is generally the way that they've done things. And remember, every single year since he's come in, I think people have questioned the transfer policy. There's always been...
OTB AM.
With Gillette. Get into your flow with the new Gillette Labs Razor with exfoliating.